Chapter 57. Ning Cheng rushed out of the Nanyuan city with his fastest speed. After coming out of the Nanyuan city, Ning Cheng finally felt relieved. To be honest, he really wasn't afraid of that Lan Yinyu. Although Lan Yinyu was already at true condensation 8th level, but from the mouth of Fang Jian, Ning Cheng already knew that. Because of the lack of spiritual qi and resources in the Ping continent, the cultivation methods of the Ping continent were inherently flawed, and their spiritual sense was much weaker. In other words, although Lan Yinyu was at true condensation 8th level, but the fact was that her true cultivation level was not even at true condensation 8th level. Ning Cheng was afraid of the essence-building realm cultivator from the Clear Heart Academy. Once he was blocked by the essence-building realm cultivator in the Nanyuan city, then he really would not be able to escape. According to Ning Cheng's thoughts, as long as he left the Nanyuan city, then it would be equivalent to being safe. He would look for a place where there was no one around, and then use his flying sword to fly towards the Dawn Forest. Then through the Dawn Forest, he would enter the Yuan continent. Ning Cheng had just left the Nanyuan city when he felt that he was being watched. Ning Cheng quickened his pace, but in his heart there was not much worry. If he was targeted by an essence-building realm cultivator, then even if he wanted to escape, he would not be able to. If a true condensation cultivator were to target him, then he simply did not need to be afraid. In Ning Cheng's view, an essence-building realm cultivator would absolutely not be bored enough to stalk a qi-gathering cultivator like him. In a place like Nanyuan City, the possibility of such a thing happening was almost zero. An hour later, the people behind Ning Cheng suddenly sped up. At this time Ning Cheng could clearly see who was stalking him. It was the Mingot City's Wolf Palace's Miao Li Hu. He knew that Miao Li Hu hated him to the bone, but he didn't think that this person was so persistent that he even chased him all the way to Nanyuan City. Fortunately, an E was highly valued in the Clear Heart Academy, otherwise an E would have been in danger. Half a year ago, he could not clearly see Miao Li Hu's cultivation level, but now he could clearly see that Miao Li Hu's cultivation level was at true condensation 4th level. A true condensation 4th level cultivator was not even able to step on a flying sword. Ning Cheng really did not put Miao Li Hu in his eyes. For him, Miao Li Hu had come at the right time. He could try out the power of the 7 Pleiades Ice Needle. Little bastard, even if you run again, I will burn you to ashes and bury you with my son. Miao Li Hu, on seeing Ning Cheng unexpectedly stop, immediately flew in front of Ning Cheng and shouted out in a ferocious voice. In his view, Ning Cheng should have been scared silly. Ning Cheng unhurriedly said, Miao Li Hu, you can strut around in the Mingot City, but here, you are not qualified to be arrogant. What I don't understand is, how did you know that I just left the city? Could it be that someone sent you a letter? When Miao Li Hu saw that Ning Cheng was not scared stiff, but rather spoke slowly, he was immediately stunned. However, he immediately reacted and said sternly, Go to hell. As he spoke, a blood-colored rainbow shot out from his hand towards Ning Cheng. He hated Ning Cheng to the bone and really did not want to wait any longer. Buzz! The blood-red light streaked across the air, bringing with it an extremely miserable buzzing sound, almost completely sealing off the space around Ning Cheng. The originally clear sky immediately became gloomy and gloomy as Miao Li Hu's blood-red rainbow streaked across. It was as if there were countless wronged spirits, spewing a bloody mist towards Ning Cheng. Under this bloody mist, Ning Cheng was even somewhat in a trance. He clearly knew that he should quickly get out of the way, but being shrouded in this bloody mist that covered the sky unexpectedly made him feel somewhat at a loss. The mysterious yellow bead emitted a mysterious yellow aura, which made the bloody mist that covered Ning Cheng's body pale. Ning Cheng suddenly became vigilant. He did not hesitate to circulate his true qi. The flying sword in his hand chopped out. The sword rainbow, under the agitation of Ning Cheng's true qi, split open a gap in the bloody mist. Ning Cheng immediately squeezed through the gap and rushed out. Even if that was the case, one of the blood-red rainbows had already exploded on Ning Cheng's chest. Boom! Ning Cheng had just left the bloody mist when a violent explosion sounded at the place where he was standing. Ning Cheng was shocked to find that a moment ago, the place where he was standing had a huge crater. Moreover, the crater was still dark red in color. It seemed that this place had been stained with blood for a long time. He subconsciously looked down. The clothes on his chest had been torn open, revealing the inner armor that the old woman had given him. Ning Cheng felt some lingering fear in his heart. If he did not have the inner armor, then that bloody rainbow would have cut a deep scar on his chest. Slowly breathing a sigh of relief, Ning Cheng could clearly see the artifact in the hands of Miao Li, who, it turned out to be a huge scarlet streamer with a vague skull on it. That bloody rainbow, as well as that gloomy aura, and the rainbows that had exploded on his chest, were all brought out by this huge scarlet streamer. If not for the mysterious yellow bead, perhaps he would have already been killed. Ning Cheng was secretly afraid in his heart, but he also knew that although he had a lot of fighting experience, but most of it was against monstrous beasts. But he was just a chi-gathering cultivator, and dared to look down on Miao Li, who was just a true condensation cultivator. If this was not courting death, then what was? A true condensation cultivator. Even if it was a poor true condensation cultivator, they were not ordinary people. Ning Cheng no longer dared to be careless. The flying sword in his hands brought out a circle of sword light, as it rumbled towards Miao Li, who. Ha! Miao Li, who was shocked as he looked at the huge pit that he had blasted out. A chi-gathering 4th level cultivator was able to escape from his scarlet grieving spirit streamer. This was the first time that he had seen such a thing. In his opinion, this was simply an impossible thing. A chi-gathering 4th level cultivator, even if he was more powerful, would not be able to escape from his scarlet grieving spirit streamer. Ning Cheng was a chi-gathering 4th level cultivator, but not only escaped from his scarlet grieving spirit streamer, but also brought out his flying sword to counterattack. 8 ice-cold sword lights. It seemed as if the surrounding space was frozen. His surroundings were completely sealed, so that he did not have any leeway to escape. You are not a chi-gathering cultivator. Miao Li, who called out in shock, as he once again waved the scarlet streamer in his hands. Even a powerful chi-gathering cultivator would not be able to cast out this kind of crisscrossing ice chi sword light. Moreover, there were 8 of them in a row. Although these 8 sword lights could not be linked together, but it was enough to threaten the life of a true condensation cultivator. Once they were linked together, even he would find it extremely difficult to resist them. A chi-gathering 4th level cultivator was able to form such a terrifying ice sword chi. He simply could not believe it. After the shock, he quickly calmed down. Although Ning Cheng's attack was indeed powerful, but he still believed that he could kill Ning Cheng. Chi. The scarlet streamer and Ning Cheng's ice sword light collided with each other. A chi sound resounded in the air. It was as if a cloth was being torn apart. The 8 ice sword chi were swept away by the scarlet streamer, and the ice-cold aura instantly weakened. Miao Li, who was happy in his heart, the weaker the 8 ice sword chi were, the more difficult it was for them to condense into one. As long as he could suppress the 8 ice sword chi of Ning Cheng, he believed that Ning Cheng could only let himself be slaughtered. At this time, in the middle of the 8 ice sword chi and the scarlet streamer, suddenly 4 more ice sword chi appeared out of thin air. Once these 4 ice sword chi came out, the 8 ice sword chi that were originally scattered all over the place, instantly linked together into one. Just like a sword net, the scarlet streamer was completely frozen in the middle of the sword net. This is a profound grade sword technique. Miao Li, whose soul almost jumped out of his body, he did not think that Ning Cheng would actually have a profound grade sword technique. Although he did not have such a sword technique, but it did not mean that he did not know what it was. This kind of treasure, even a 3-star academy would not necessarily have it, but this ant in his eyes unexpectedly had such a terrible sword technique. The moment he saw that it was a profound grade sword technique, Miao Li, who knew that if he did not leave this place, then today he would really die in this place. He always felt that Ning Cheng's true essence was not as deep as his, but when he fought with Ning Cheng, he felt a little awkward. Now he finally understood, it was because Ning Cheng used a profound grade sword technique. Miao Li, who did not know that his guess was wrong, Ning Cheng's true chi was not as good as his. When he fought with Ning Cheng, he always felt a little awkward. It was not because Ning Cheng used the 36 ice swords, but because Ning Cheng's spiritual sense was much stronger than his. In a fight between cultivators, spiritual sense was a decisive thing. Miao Li, who did not realize the importance of spiritual sense, it would be strange if he did not fall into a disadvantageous position. In other words, as long as his spiritual sense was similar to Ning Cheng's. Ning Cheng would absolutely not be his opponent. This was the difference between them. Miao Li, who simply did not care about the Scarlet Banner being injured by the profound ice sword chi, his true essence fiercely exploded out. At the same time he quickly retreated with the Scarlet Banner. He did not want to fight with Ning Cheng anymore. At this time, a faint shadow came out from the gap between the Scarlet Banner, and in a twinkling of an eye disappeared into Miao Li Hu's body. Miao Li Hu, who was retreating crazily, suddenly became sluggish. He stared at Ning Cheng. He wanted to say something, but the next moment he felt as if his heart had been hit by a hammer and was about to burst open. His heart burst open. His eyes were filled with unwillingness as he crashed to the ground. So powerful? Ning Cheng looked at Miao Li Hu, who had fallen to the ground, and muttered. The 36 ice swords had already given him a pleasant surprise, but the 7 Pleiades ice needle had given him a pleasant surprise. He completely did not expect it to be. He had thought that Miao Li Hu would be sneak attacked by the 7 Pleiades ice needle, and would at least try to resist, but he did not even have half a chance to resist. This made Ning Cheng realize that he had underestimated his own 7 Pleiades ice needle. Chapter 58. Hua Continent. Among the 3 lower-class continents of the Yixing mainland, the spiritual qi in the Hua Continent was the most abundant. If not for the endless mountain ranges separating the Hua Continent and the Jia Continent, and these mountain ranges also split the spiritual veins in the Hua Continent, then the Hua Continent could even be classified as an intermediate-class continent. In the Hua Continent, the most powerful forces were not the 6 true countries, nor were they the numerous large and small academies. Rather, it was the 5 five-star academies. The 5-star academies in the Hua Continent were existences that surpassed the true countries. Even the most powerful true countries in the Hua Continent would not dare to do anything to the 5-star academies. If you exclude the 5-star academies, then the most famous forces in the Hua Continent would be the 6 true countries, followed by the 7 great clans that were not weaker than the 6 true countries. But the most famous clan was the East Water Country's Shui clan, although the Shui clan was one of the 7 great clans of the Hua Continent, but because they had a profound core realm cultivator, they surpassed the rest of the clans. Even in the East Water Country, they were considered to be extraordinary existences. In the lower-class continents, only the 5-star academies and a few true countries would have a profound core realm cultivator. The Shui clan, as a clan, had a profound core realm cultivator, which made them fully deserving of being the first clan. If not for the overall strength of the Shui clan being relatively weak, the Shui clan would have been able to stand on equal footing with the true countries. At this moment, in the Shui clan's clan meeting, a middle-aged man was scolding a youth beside him. This youth already had the cultivation of true condensation realm, but he just lowered his head and did not open his mouth despite being scolded. The Shui clan's clan meeting was something that all the elders of the Shui clan must attend. Moreover, these elders would bring 1 or 2 of their most outstanding children to the meeting. The middle-aged man who was scolding the youth was called Shui Gao Yuan, an essence-building elder of the Shui clan, and the one he was scolding was his most outstanding son, Shui Feng Qi. He was not even 30 years old, but already had the cultivation of true condensation 4th level. The youth finally became impatient after being scolded, and suddenly raised his head and shouted, "That Ji Luo Fei is already disfigured. Why do you want me to marry her? Even if I casually look for a woman, she would be 100 times better than her." When the middle-aged man heard that his son actually dared to refute him, he immediately stood up and angrily said, "What do you know? Ji Luo Fei is not born ugly. Once her appearance is restored, do you think that there would be anyone in the Falling Star Academy that could compare to her?" Restoring one's appearance is very difficult in the Hua Continent, but in an intermediate-class continent it is as easy as turning one's hand, you idiot. At this time, the old man sitting at the head of the table waved his hand, interrupting the middle-aged man's rage. "Gao Yuan, don't scold Feng Qi anymore. Young people always have their own opinions. Since Ji Luofei's face is disfigured, then she must be ugly." When the middle-aged man heard the old man's words, he didn't dare to continue speaking and quickly sat down. This was the clan head of the Shui clan, Shui Chenghua, who already had the cultivation of early-stage profound congealing realm. In the Shui clan, other than the profound core realm Grand Elder who was in seclusion all year round, the words of the Shui clan's clan head had always been absolute. Shui Yu is willing to take Ji Luo Fei as his wife. I asked the patriarch to make the decision for me. At this time, sitting not far from the seat of the Shui clan's patriarch, a young man took the initiative to stand up and bow as he spoke. Are you willing to marry the Ji Luo Fei? Don't you dislike her for being disfigured? The Shui clan's patriarch, Shui Chenghua, asked with doubt and surprise. Not waiting for Shui Yu to speak, a man sitting opposite to Shui Yu also stood up and said, Patriarch, Shui Yu is the disciple with the highest qualifications in my Shui clan. His future is limitless. How can he marry that disfigured Ji Luo Fei? Saying that, he then turned to Shui Fengqi and spoke in a sincere tone. Shui Yu, your father is not here, so you can't make such a mess. Shui Yu also respectfully bowed to the man who spoke, and then solemnly said, I am not impulsive. I have long had the idea of marrying Ji Luo Fei. Ji Luo Fei's qualifications are not much worse than mine. I believe that if she comes to my Shui clan, then in the future it would only be beneficial to my Shui clan, and would not bring any harm. Regarding appearance, I do not care much about it. The young man sitting at the head of the table on hearing Shui Yu's words, immediately clenched his fists. Originally he wanted to marry Ji Luo Fei, but he did not expect that Shui Yu would take the initiative. At this time Shui Yu had already spoken. Even if he liked Ji Luo Fei, he did not dare to stand up and snatch her away from Shui Yu. Only he knew that Shui Yu's words were not credible. Shui Yu had completely fancied Ji Luo Fei's beauty and peerless charm. That's right, it was beauty. Although Ji Luo Fei was disfigured, but her unparalleled figure was unforgettable. Once she restored her appearance, she would absolutely be unparalleled. Not to mention that Ji Luo Fei's qualifications were so excellent. If she became his wife, then in the future he would definitely be able to borrow her strength. Unfortunately, not all of the Shui clan's disciples were as blind as Shui Fengqi. He was not the only one who could see that Ji Luo Fei was good. But I heard that Ji Luo Fei also has an aunt, Ji Yaohe. Cheng Zhou, you go look for Ji Yaohe and propose a marriage for Shui Yu. Remember to bring the sincerity of my Shui clan. You cannot neglect others just because Ji Luo Fei is disfigured. Shui Chenghua, on hearing Shui Yu's words, seemed to be extremely happy. He was very satisfied that the Shui clan had such an excellent and sensible disciple. He had not seen Ji Yaohe, but had heard that Ji Luo Fei's qualifications in the Falling Star Academy were excellent. The only regret was that Ji Luo Fei was disfigured. Yes, Patriarch. A man who looked extremely capable stood up and bowed in response. At this time, Ning Cheng had already been in the Dawn Forest for almost a month. According to Ning Cheng's estimation, in this 1 month, he had already walked nearly half the distance. After walking in the Dawn Forest for more than a month, Ning Cheng's understanding of the Dawn Forest had become even more profound. He was glad that he had obtained a map. If he did not have a map, not to mention getting lost in the Dawn Forest, he might have already died in the jaws of a high-leveled monstrous beast. Even if he had a map, he was still almost killed by a high-leveled monstrous beast several times. Along the way, he did not know how many bones he had seen. These bones, in addition to some of the monstrous beasts, there were also many human bones. It could be seen that since the beginning of time, many people had died in the Dawn Forest. However, his harvest was also not small. Not only did he find hundreds of rank 1 spiritual grasses, he also found more than a dozen rank 2 spiritual grasses. What surprised him the most was that he found a rank 4 rainbow light grass, but on the contrary he did not even see a single rank 3 spiritual grass. The rainbow light grass was an extremely precious rank 4 spiritual grass. Although Ning Cheng did not know alchemy, but he was very familiar with some of the spiritual grasses. The rainbow light grass could be used to repair a cultivator's core lake. Moreover, it could also be used to refine the mysterious rainbow pill. Of course, refining the mysterious rainbow pill was too outrageous. After all, the mysterious rainbow pill was a rank 4 pill, and the alchemy grandmaster that could refine a rank 4 pill was not something that Ning Cheng was able to recognize. Walking in a place like the Dawn Forest, one would occasionally be able to obtain such an opportunity, but most of the time he would have to carry his head in his hands. Although Ning Cheng could use the flying sword to fly, but he did not dare to fly more than 10 meters. Flying in this place would only lead to a faster death. Not only could he not fly, but when he walked, he had to be as careful as possible. Ning Cheng relied on this kind of caution and had walked nearly half the distance. But in the last 2 days, Ning Cheng felt that something was wrong. Not only did he not meet a single monstrous beast, he did not even see a low-leveled wild beast. The surroundings were deathly still. If he did not have a clear map, he would have thought that he was walking in the wrong direction. Ning Cheng's walking speed slowed down, and after half a day, when a burst of scorching heat hit him in the face, Ning Cheng saw the scene in front of him and was immediately stunned. In front of him was at least a few dozen miles in radius, but at this time it had completely turned into a crisscrossed ravine. There was not even a single tree. In the Dawn Forest, although there were some open areas, but there was never a place like this in front of him. It was completely crisscrossed with ravines, and he could not even see a single tree. It should be said that it was not that there were no trees. Ning Cheng also saw some broken trees scattered in the ravines. A sharp murderous aura diffused out from these ravines. However, this murderous aura still made Ning Cheng feel a burst of discomfort. It was a terrible scene of a battle. Ning Cheng could see that this was the place where 2 experts were fighting. Before, when he and Feng Fei Zhang had gone to the Mingatsi area, they had encountered 2 experts fighting on the road. But that kind of battle, compared to the one in front of him, was simply like a child in the presence of a child. It simply could not be compared. Ning Cheng did not dare to directly pass through this battlefield. Even if this battlefield had been here for many days, he could still feel the bursts of killing chi. This was only the edge of the battlefield. Once he entered the battlefield, the killing chi would certainly get stronger and stronger. Whether he could withstand it or not was another matter altogether. Ning Cheng was just about to carefully bypass this terrible battlefield in front of him, when a spear handle protruding from the ground made him suddenly stop. Chapter 59. This is a long spear magic treasure. It must be so. After Ning Cheng saw this long spear, he could no longer move his feet. He did not like to use flying swords to fight his enemies. He originally liked to use spears or other powerful magical weapons. Moreover, he had obtained the spear technique 36 profound ice spears, which made Ning Cheng want to spear even more. Unfortunately, he only had a flying sword and nothing else. Now that there was a long spear in this place, although the part of the long spear exposed to the ground was broken, but for Ning Cheng, it still had an infinite attraction. Not to mention the cultivation of the people fighting here. To be able to cause such a big scene, their cultivation would not be too bad. How could the items left behind by the 2 experts with powerful cultivations be inferior? Ning Cheng slowly moved towards the center of the crisscrossing ravine where the fight was taking place. Originally, when he was at the edge of the ravine, he could already feel a sharp and pervasive killing intent. When he stepped into the range of the battle, the powerful killing intent immediately tore his clothes apart. The murderous aura was just like a knife as it swept across Ning Cheng's body, causing Ning Cheng's body to immediately be covered with dozens of bloody scars. The bloodstains were very shallow, but the blood that flowed out instantly dyed Ning Cheng's body red. Ning Cheng did not dare to take a second step. The attraction of the long spear-type artifact also did not allow him to withdraw from this crisscrossing ravine. He stopped and slowly operated his true chi. He wanted to heal himself while moving forward slowly. Even if he had to spend a few more months, he had to get his hands on this spear. Alchemy and artifact crafting were not easy. Ning Cheng already knew about it. If he did not obtain such a spear-type magic treasure, he would not be able to sleep at night. As the chi flowed along Ning Cheng's meridians, the mysterious yellow bead that originally stayed in his Zifu suddenly rotated. The mysterious yellow aura mixed with the chi and completely filled the meridians of Ning Cheng's entire body. Ning Cheng unexpectedly sat down in this place filled with murderous chi, as 2 figures appeared in his mind. These 2 shadows were crisscrossing in the sky above the Dawn Forest. One of them was using a spear, while the other was using a great axe. The 2 of them crisscrossed in this space with spear shadows and axe lights. In just a short period of time, the densely forested area had been ravaged to the point where only a few charred trees remained. Ning Cheng could vaguely sense the traces of the murderous qi in the spear shadows, causing his consciousness space to suddenly come to a standstill. The figure wielding the spear had brought out the spear-type artifact in his hands, and then stabbed out with the spear. This spear brought out thousands upon thousands of spear shadows. The killing intent contained within the spear shadows made Ning Cheng breathless. So powerful, Ning Cheng couldn't help but feel shocked in his heart. He suddenly became vigilant. He had only felt a trace of residual murderous qi from the long spear, but it was already so uncomfortable. If he were to face such a terrifying murderous aura, he could only close his eyes and wait for death. Perhaps he didn't even need to wait for death. As long as that terrifying murderous aura came out, it could completely turn him into nothingness. This kind of dense and brutal spear shadows filled with a murderous aura almost engulfed the entire Dawn Forest. It seemed as if the entire Dawn Forest was going to be torn apart. He didn't know how the shadow wielding the giant axe was going to defend against such a terrifying destructive spear shadow. However, he could vaguely feel that there was something strange about this spear. Suddenly, he felt a severe pain in his mind. At the same time, he could no longer catch up to the shadow wielding the giant axe. He could only feel a terrible tearing pain in his mind. The next moment he spat out a mouthful of blood. Ning Cheng's face turned pale after spitting out a mouthful of blood, but he still did not retreat. He just slowly stood up, and with a wave of his hand, a flying sword appeared in his hand. At the same time, he used the flying sword as a spear to stab out. Whoosh, just like the sound of an arrow being shot, the flying sword in Ning Cheng's hand brought out a long sword light, which tore apart the surrounding murderous qi. Or rather, Ning Cheng's flying sword had completely twisted apart the surrounding murderous qi, so that the surrounding murderous qi no longer had any effect on him. Was this the tip of the spear? Ning Cheng's heart was filled with incomparable excitement. He had never thought that he would be able to comprehend such a spear in this kind of place. If he could completely comprehend this spear, then wouldn't his battle prowess rise to a whole new level? Something is wrong. Ning Cheng suddenly stopped. The joy on his face instantly disappeared without a trace. In his mind, there was a clear trace of the flaw in this move. Moreover, it was a fatal flaw. Initially, when the figure wielding the spear had used this move, there was no way for the spear to transform into countless terrifying spear shadows. As such, he had used a supplementary spear. That's right, it was a supplementary spear, because that person was not able to truly sweep through the world with a single spear. As such, he had used several supplementary spears to assist him. Because of this, there seemed to be a flaw in the spear shadow. If the person wielding the great axe was able to grasp this flaw, then the shadow wielding the spear would undoubtedly lose. Ning Cheng's face once again turned pale. He saw the ravine in front of him. At the same time, he was very clear that the person wielding the spear would definitely lose. The ravine in front of him was a deep ravine, while the surrounding ravines were relatively thinner. Moreover, the murderous qi was also a lot weaker. The reason why Ning Cheng's face turned pale was because he had also comprehended the tip of the spear a moment ago. In other words, when he fought against other people in the future, as long as the opponent was able to grasp the flaw in this spear, he would also suffer a crushing defeat. Even if he did not use the supplementary spear, the spear that he had comprehended would still not be perfect, and would have a trace of flaw. Although he knew that the person wielding the spear would not be able to penetrate through this spear, so that this spear would have an irreparable flaw. But from a psychological point of view, Ning Cheng was still standing on the side of the person wielding the spear, because he also wanted to use the spear as his own magical weapon. Similarly, Ning Cheng finally understood what the broken half of the spear in the middle of the ravine was. It should be the supplementary spear of the person wielding the spear. After the person wielding the spear lost, he did not even have the ability to take away the supplementary spear. It could be seen that he should have suffered a crushing defeat. But Ning Cheng quickly put aside this idea. With his current cultivation level, wanting to fight against this kind of expert was just a dream, so he did not have to think too much about it. In the future, when he was able to fight against this kind of expert, perhaps he would have already made up for the flaws in this spear. Putting aside this idea, the murderous qi of that spear was once again caught by Ning Cheng. His mind was becoming more and more clear about this spear. Ning Cheng was completely unaware that what he had caught was not the murderous qi, but a trace of the spear intent. If someone knew that Ning Cheng was just a trivial cultivator in the qi-gathering realm, he would be able to sense the scene of the battle through the murderous qi, and even comprehend a trace of the spear intent. Even if Ning Cheng hid in the horizon, he would still be caught and torn apart bit by bit for research. Ning Cheng also knew why he was able to sense such a terrible scene of the battle. It had nothing to do with his qualifications, it was because of the mysterious yellow bead. After just a few breaths, Ning Cheng gave a loud shout, and with a shake of his hands, the spear intent was stimulated out by him. The surrounding murderous qi that did not have much of an effect on him became even thinner. Ning Cheng was overjoyed in his heart, and quickened his pace. He had originally intended to spend a few months to get his hands on that broken spear, but he had never thought that just by comprehending a trace of the murderous qi, he would be able to walk so fast in this ravine. In just the time it took for an incense stick to burn, Ning Cheng arrived at a place not far from where the broken spear was. Just when Ning Cheng was about to take a step forward and grab the broken spear in his hands, an even more fierce murderous qi blasted out and directly bombarded Ning Cheng's chest. This murderous qi was even more fierce than the murderous qi left behind by the spear. Ning Cheng was immediately sent flying upside down by this terrible murderous qi. At the same time as he spurted out a mouthful of blood, in Ning Cheng's consciousness appeared the shadow of a great axe. Ning Cheng stood up shakily, but he still felt that his legs were trembling. This had nothing to do with fear, but rather the murderous qi of that great axe was too terrible, it made him completely unable to resist it. This is the axe shadow that broke that spear, it's too powerful. After a long time, Ning Cheng muttered to himself. At this time Ning Cheng was very clear, if he could not block the murderous qi of this great axe, then he simply would not have any way to get the broken spear. Even if the spear was within his reach, he could only look at it. Bah! Looking at his chest, which had a mark on it, Ning Cheng spat out a mouthful of saliva. This father wants this spear today. Making up his mind, Ning Cheng carefully approached the ravine filled with the murderous qi of the great axe. Just as he was about to approach, the terrifying axe shadow directly blasted over, once again sending him flying. He continued to comprehend the axe shadow, and then once again moved forward. Being blasted away, injured, comprehending, moving forward. Being blasted away again, injured again, comprehending again, moving forward again. Ning Cheng was blasted away again, and was injured again and again, moving forward again and again. Time flowed by in this kind of repetition, and the murderous qi of this axe shadow gradually became clear in Ning Cheng's consciousness. Moving forward, the imposing manner was boundless, there was no room for turning back. This was the imposing manner of this axe shadow. Whether it was the imposing manner or the murderous qi, this axe shadow was much stronger than the murderous qi of the spear intent that Ning Cheng had felt before. This was not because the cultivation level of the person using the axe was much higher than the cultivation level of the person using the spear, but because one had the murderous qi of winning, while the other had the murderous qi of losing, the two simply could not be compared. Ning Cheng could not remember how many times he had been blasted away, there was not even an inch of his body that was intact, even his face was riddled with scars. But he was not surprised, on the contrary he was happy, and once again rushed forward, while simultaneously chopping out with the flying sword in his hands. This time he used his flying sword as a great axe, and chopped out with his flying sword. The sword qi drove the murderous qi around the gully, sending out bursts of crackling sounds. After a moment, Ning Cheng stopped. In front of him was the gully. The murderous qi that had easily blasted him away, at this time it was no longer able to blast him away even by half a step. Ning Cheng was standing in front of the gully created by the great axe, as a series of insights appeared in his mind. He did not know how much time had passed, when Ning Cheng suddenly opened his eyes, his body issued a burst of light sounds, the powerful qi in his body was like gurgling water, and the sound was becoming more and more clear. A touch of surprise appeared in Ning Cheng's eyes. This was the first time that he did not use spirit stones to cultivate, nor did he use any external resources, and was able to advance. He was able to advance to the qi-gathering 9th level, completely because he had comprehended the two murderous qi in this place. Chapter 60. Ning Cheng put away the flying sword and stood in the same place as he sent out a punch. He was able to perceive a trace of killing chi left behind by the great axe, which made him eager to try out the might of this axe. But the flying sword was really not easy to use, so he simply used his fist as a giant axe. Bang! Ning Cheng's axe fist was filled with a murderous aura, as it directly blasted away the residual killing intent in front of him, causing a muffled sound to ring out. The murderous aura that lingered in the surroundings was like mud that had been blasted apart, splashing in all directions. Although the killing intent would still surge back, it was no longer as sharp as before. Ah! Ning Cheng laughed as he took a step forward and raised his hand to grab the handle of the broken spear. That's all. He comprehended a trace of the great axe's killing chi, and then used his own great axe fists to blow away the remaining killing chi in the surroundings, and felt incomparably comfortable. Of course, he knew that the great axe's murderous chi that was left here at the moment was not even a millionth of the great axe's murderous chi, but at least at this time, this remnant murderous chi had already been blown away by his fist. What's more, he was using his self-created fist axe. It was precisely because he had used his axe fist to blast away the residual great axe killing chi that he could say that it was just SOSO. In Ning Cheng's view, a truly powerful expert, even if they had walked away for countless years, the traces of their murderous aura would not dissipate so easily. As for the two people fighting here, it was obvious that they hadn't left for long. The murderous aura at the scene of the fight had dissipated by 99%. After a while, the murderous aura here would disappear completely. Even if Ning Cheng knew that compared to the others, the disparity between them was like heaven and earth, but after he comprehended two kinds of killing intents, he still felt somewhat disapproving of it. While laughing, Ning Cheng had already stimulated his chi and reached out to pull out the broken spear. A powerful aura immediately flooded Ning Cheng's senses. It felt as if the long spear in his hand could blow apart the surrounding heaven and earth. At this moment, the entire world seemed to be under his control, although Ning Cheng knew that it was an illusion, but he was still overjoyed in his heart. As soon as he held the spear in his hand, the heavy feeling in his hand made it clear that this spear was more suitable for him than the flying sword. The spear was nearly 8 feet long, but to Ning Cheng's regret, this spear was not only broken in half, even the spearhead was broken in half. Even if that was the case, Ning Cheng could still feel that this long spear was not simple. Ning Cheng did not change places at all, and directly stayed in the same place, as he began to refine the long spear. As Ning Cheng refined the restrictions, the powerful aura lingering around the long spear gradually weakened. Not knowing how much time had passed, Ning Cheng once again stood up and raised his spear, before thrusting it out. The surrounding air buzzed from the shot, as if a thin willow branch was rapidly brushing through the air. After the spear stabbed out, the air in front of the spear was completely separated. The next moment, Ning Cheng's spearhead trembled, bringing out 12 spear shadows. These spear shadows looked like a sparse spear net that completely covered the space in front of them. The surroundings instantly turned cold. The cold was like a viscous liquid, causing the movements of those who were in it to become much more sluggish. The profound 36 ice spears, this was the real profound 36 ice spears. Ning Cheng was pleasantly surprised in his heart. He had used his long spear to display the 36 profound ice spear technique. Whether it was the imposing manner or the power, it was far from being comparable to the flying sword. At this moment in Ning Cheng's heart, this 36 profound ice spear technique could only be described with one word: powerful. Putting away the long spear, Ning Cheng's imposing manner rose. If he had to face Miao Li who was at the Qi-gathering 4th level, he was confident that he would not even need to use the 7 Pleiades ice needle, and would be able to kill the opposite party. Unfortunately, the long spear was broken, and was unable to stabilize its quality. When Ning Cheng held it in his hands, he felt that it was just a low-grade artifact. When he thrust it out with his spear, he felt that the quality of the long spear had risen to that of a medium-grade artifact. But when he blasted out the 36 profound ice spear technique, this broken spear seemed to have become a high-grade artifact. Ning Cheng did not have the slightest doubt that once he displayed an even more fearsome spear technique, this broken spear might even become a spiritual artifact of the lowest grade. From this, Ning Qing inferred that this broken spear, before it was broken, it was absolutely a top-grade artifact that was above the spiritual artifact. Moreover, the refining technique used to refine it was not ordinary. Even if the broken spear was destroyed, the remaining restrictions were still able to maintain the usability of the artifact. Ning Qing had not come into contact with many artifacts, but he had read some records about them. If an ordinary artifact was broken, then it would be very difficult to use it again, and would have to be repaired before it could be used again. Although this spear was broken, but it could still be used, it showed that the refining method used to refine this spear was different from the ordinary artifacts. Ning Qing found a blue cloth and wrapped it around the broken spear, and tied it to his back. This spear was broken, although it could still be refined, but it could not be compared to a flying sword. A flying sword could be controlled with his spiritual sense, but the size of a broken spear could not be changed. Moreover, Ning Cheng's storage bag only had a little more than a meter of space, but this broken spear was already more than 2 meters long. Besides carrying it on his back, Ning Cheng could only hold it in his hands. Having already comprehended the two kinds of killing intents in this crisscrossing ravine, Ning Cheng used his fastest speed to cross this place. Looking back at the large battlefield that he had left behind, Ning Cheng couldn't help but think in his heart that this kind of opportunity really required luck and strength. He had crossed the Dawn Forest, and had unexpectedly obtained a long spear, and had also comprehended the two kinds of killing intents. His fighting strength had once again soared. If this was not an opportunity, then what was it? Auntie, I don't agree. Ji Luofei faced Ji Yaohe and replied without hesitation. Not to mention that her and Ning Cheng's engagement had not been dissolved, she had also promised Ning Cheng that she would never marry anyone else in this life. Even if there were no such things, she did not intend to marry anyone else. At this moment, in her heart, there was only cultivation and cultivation. In the future, when her cultivation was high enough, she wanted to go to the Dawn Forest and see why her parents could not come out of the Dawn Forest. Now that her auntie actually wanted her to marry East Water Country's Shui clan's Shuiyu, she did not even think about it and flatly refused. Ji Yaohe immediately frowned and tried to slow down her tone as much as possible and said, Luo Fei, the Shui clan is one of the 7 major clans of the Hua continent. Moreover, they even have a profound core cultivator. That Shuiyu is the #1 genius of the Shui clan. What does our Ji clan have? Now there are only the 2 of us. Your spiritual root is only a dual spiritual root. If you can marry into the Shui clan, then you will definitely be able to reach a higher level in the future. Otherwise, even if we were in the Falling Star Academy, it would be very difficult for us to take a step forward. Pausing for a moment, Ji Yaohe continued to earnestly persuade her. Besides, you are also disfigured with the Shui clan's ability. In the future you will definitely be able to go to the intermediate class continent, the Jia continent. Once you could go to the Jia continent, would you still be afraid that you would not be able to restore your appearance? Moreover, that Shuiyu's spiritual root qualification is even better than yours. He is not even 30 years old, but already has the cultivation of true condensation 6th level. This kind of person, even in the Falling Star Academy, there were not many. Why don't you agree? Auntie, I already have a husband. It's impossible for me to do anything to the Shui family. What's more, I am already disfigured. In this life, other than looking for my parents, I do not have any other thoughts. I ask Auntie to go back to the Shui clan. Ji Luofei spoke in a categorical manner. Ji Yaohe, on hearing Ji Luofei's words, stood up in anger. Luofei, do you know what the consequences of rejecting the Shui clan are? It is absolutely impossible for us to continue staying in the Falling Star Academy. If we leave the Falling Star Academy, where else do you think we can go? That Ning Cheng simply does not have a spiritual root. In a few decades, he would just be a pile of yellow soil. Do you really want to guard that yellow soil? Ji Luofei also slowly stood up and said in a tone without even half a shred of emotion, Auntie, I and Ning Cheng have lived together for more than 10 years. At that time, when I knew that he had died in prison, when I carried him back, I did not feel even half a shred of sadness. When he woke up on my back, I did not feel even half a shred of joy. But now, I suddenly understand he and I are closer. Ji Luofei finished speaking, Without saying another word, she slowly walked out of the room. Her heart was very sad. Before Ning Qing really was not a good thing, but after coming out of prison, he unexpectedly left a trace in her heart. If it was Ning Qing, would he, for his own sake, let her marry into the Shui clan? Her auntie had left Ning Qing in the Chongqing province. How could Ji Luofei not know that it was like using a borrowed knife to kill someone? But she was powerless to change anything. Her cultivation level was too low. She could only wait for her own cultivation level to be high enough, and then go to see Ning Qing. If he died, then she would wear mourning clothes for him. If he was still alive, then she would wish him a better life. She could also continue to look for her parents. She did not hate Jiao He because she wanted to use a borrowed knife to kill Ning Qing. After all, she was her auntie. What she did was for her. But today, she found that she seemed to have thought wrong. In the face of benefits, her auntie still did not consider her feelings. Why must she stay in the Falling Star Academy? Could it be that she could not stay in the Falling Star Academy? Don't be nervous. Come with me, just listen to me. Ning Qing's words were something that she could never forget. If Ji Yao He was not her auntie, and treated Ning Qing like this, she would have already left the Falling Star Academy. Luo Fei, you know my qualifications. After you leave, remember to avenge me. This was what Ning Qing had said to her when he told her to escape. Ji Luo Fei seemed to have returned to the Chongqing province. She suddenly felt that her auntie and Ning Qing's auntie were not the same concept. It was like Ning Qing only had a single gold coin, while her auntie had countless spirit stones. Her auntie gave her a spirit stone that was several times more expensive than a gold coin. But Ning Qing actually gave her the only gold coin. If this was the end, then she would feel a bit better in her heart. After all, her auntie was her blood relative. But as her own auntie, she actually turned around and asked her for this gold coin. At this moment, she finally felt that Ning Qing, compared to her auntie, seemed to be closer. Ji Luo Fei walked out of the room, turned around and bowed towards the room behind her, and then quickened her pace. She had to leave this place. For her, if even her auntie became a stranger, then there was no point in staying here. Chapter 61. A few monstrous beasts roared and a sword light soared into the sky. It made Ning Qing, who was still rushing through the dawn forest, to stop, as he carefully hid to one side. This was the scene of a fight between a human and a monstrous beast. Ning Qing did not think that in the depths of the dawn forest, other than himself, there would be other people. This was already the 12th day since he had obtained the broken spear. According to Ning Qing's plan, as long as the map was not wrong, he would be able to get out of the dawn forest in about a month. At this time, he actually came across some people fighting with the monstrous beasts in the dawn forest. Ning Qing certainly did not think that this person who was fighting against the monstrous beasts could be compared to the person who had left behind the broken spear. However, those who could survive here would not be simple. To be able to fight with monstrous beasts in this place, Ning Qing did not think that the other party was anything special. When he was at the intermediate stages of the Qi-gathering realm, didn't he also survive by the side of the clear water lake for a few months? In the dawn forest, as long as one has a certain level of strength, as long as one does not encroach on the territory of the other monstrous beasts, one would be able to survive. A few more sword lights surged out. Some of the true essence fluctuations could be felt by Ning Qing. Ning Qing knew that the person fighting with the monstrous beast was at least a true condensation cultivator. Not long after, the sword light dissipated and the demonic beast's roar also disappeared. The battle should be over. Qihua, why are you here? A low and deep voice of a man reached Ning Qing's ears. Following this, a clear and pleasant voice replied, I was a little worried about you, so I came to take a look. Oh, it was a woman, but before the woman could finish her sentence, her mouth seemed to be gagged. It was probably the two of them being intimate. Originally, it was a pair of lovers living in this place. Ning Qing shook his head. He did not want to continue to see who these two people were. Since the man was a true condensation cultivator, then the woman should also be a true condensation cultivator. A man and a woman staying in the dawn forest, whether or not they were lost, Ning Qing did not want to ask about it. He was only at Qi gathering 9th level. Even if he was confident that he was not weaker than an ordinary true condensation cultivator, but he was already very close to the Yuan continent, Who knew if the opposite party was an ordinary true condensation cultivator? Moreover, there were two of them. Besides, these two people had been living in the Dawn Forest for a long time, so they definitely had rich fighting experience. There was no need for him to join in on the fun. Just when Ning Cheng was about to leave, he suddenly felt that something was wrong. He was very familiar with the name Chi Hua. As such, Ning Cheng was sure that he had heard these two words before. Ning Cheng put an end to the idea of leaving. He waited for a while in the same place, making sure that the two of them had already walked far away. Only then did he carefully lurk towards them. Soon he arrived at the scene of the fight. There were still some bloodstains and claw marks left on the scene, and the traces left by several sword gleams were also clearly visible. According to the fighting scene, it should be a fight between a true condensation cultivator and a low-leveled monstrous beast. In the end, the demonic beast was killed and taken away. Checking the traces in the vicinity, Ning Cheng found the direction in which the two people had left and cautiously followed them. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, Ning Cheng found that the traces that he had been tracking had abruptly disappeared, and in front of him seemed to be an ordinary forest. Ning Cheng carefully examined the surroundings, and soon came to understand that this place was an array formation. Moreover, it should be close to a level 3 concealment array formation. Ning Cheng was a grade 2 array formation master. As such, he only had to study this array formation for a while before he understood what was going on. In less than 10 breaths of time, Ning Cheng passed through the array formation, and in front of him was a large verdant green place. It almost made Ning Cheng think that he had arrived at a paradise. There were a few very beautiful-looking wooden houses built in the middle of the green space. In front of the green space there was a bamboo forest. In the middle of the bamboo forest there was a small path. At the end of the path was a large lake. There were more than a dozen wild cranes swimming around in the lake. How was this the Dawn Forest? This was clearly a paradise. Compared to the tree hole that he used to live in, this place was simply heaven and hell. A woman wearing a green robe came out of the wooden house. She was carrying a bamboo basket in her hands. Inside the bamboo basket there were some green wild vegetables. Ning Cheng quickly took a few steps forward and hid at the edge of the bamboo forest. Looking at the woman's cultivation from a distance, he could tell that she should be at true condensation 3rd level. Ning Cheng could only see the woman's silhouette from the side, but when the green-robed woman passed through the bamboo forest and arrived at the edge of the lake, Ning Cheng could clearly see her appearance. In just an instant, Ning Cheng knew where he had heard the two words Chi Hua. The eyes of the woman in front of him and his former fiancée Ji Luofei were 70% similar. Not only that, even the shape of the face was somewhat similar, it was just that Ji Luofei's face was disfigured. Ning Cheng believed that if Ji Luofei was not disfigured, then they would be even more similar. He had heard the name Chi Hua from Ji Luofei's mouth. He remembered that Ji Luofei had said that her father was called Ji Xianzhang, and her mother was called Xiong Chi Hua. Ning Cheng was almost certain that this woman was Xiong Chi Hua, that is, Ji Luofei's mother. Was the man who had killed the monstrous beast Ji Luofei's father, Ji Xianzhang? But Ning Cheng's intuition told him that that man was not Ji Xianzhang. Ning Cheng was shocked by his own thoughts. If that man was not Ji Xianzhang, then wouldn't Xiong Chi Hua have an affair with Ji Luofei's father? Moreover, she was still in the Dawn Forest. He knew that Ji Luofei's parents had disappeared in the Dawn Forest, and then her grandfather had brought her to the Tsangqin province. If this woman was Xiong Chi Hua, then it meant that Ji Luofei's mother was not dead. Since she was not dead, then why did she not leave this place and go to the Tsangqin province to look for her daughter? After the green-robed woman came to the lake, she took out a bamboo basket filled with wild vegetables and threw them into the lake. The red-crowned cranes floating in the lake swam over and began to snatch the wild vegetables. Chi Hua, there are not many wild cranes left. Wait for me to get a piece of land, then we can plant some more. The man came out of the wooden house. He had not even come close to the green-robed woman when he spoke from a distance. But his voice was low, which made Ning Cheng feel extremely uncomfortable when he heard it. However, when Ning Cheng saw the appearance of this person, he secretly admired him in his heart. He was confident that he was not ugly and even somewhat handsome. But compared to this person, he found that his appearance was really ordinary. Ning Cheng had never seen a person as handsome as the man in front of him, with a straight nose, bright eyes, and delicate eyebrows that were even more delicate than a woman's. If not for his voice being too unpleasant to listen to, this person would simply be perfect. The green-robed woman called Chi Hua showed a faint smile and stood up. Hongwen, thank you. Sure enough, he is not Ji Luofei's father, Ning Cheng thought in his heart. He knew that Ji Luofei's father was called Ji Xianzhang, and was definitely not Hongwen. Chi Hua, you stayed in the Dawn Forest for me. Zhu Hongwen, will definitely not do anything for you. As long as you can be happy, even if it takes my life, I will not even frown. The handsome man called Zhu Hongwen said without hesitation. The green-robed woman quickly reached out to stop Zhu Hongwen, but she had just stretched out her hand when Zhu Hongwen pulled her into his arms. Seeing that Zhu Hongwen's hand was about to reach into the green-robed woman's robe, the green-robed woman suddenly gasped and said, "Not here, it's still daytime." Zhu Hongwen kissed the forehead of the green-robed woman and softly said, "There are only the two of us here, even if we do something we will not. Who is it?" Zhu Hongwen suddenly let go of the green-robed woman, while at the same time a flying sword appeared in his hands as he stared in the direction of Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng slowly stood up, while in his heart he was cursing his bad luck. Seeing his mother-in-law having an affair, but when he wanted to leave, he was discovered. If this was not bad luck, then what was it? When he was sure that the woman in front of him was Xiong Chihua, he did not want to stay here anymore. In the future, if he could go to the Falling Star Academy and see Ji Luofei, then he would tell Ji Luofei that her mother was in the Dawn Forest. Regardless of whether Ji Luofei's mother had an affair or not, it was a matter of the Ji clan and had nothing to do with him. Although he was discovered, Ning Cheng was not afraid. That person called Zhu Hongwen was only at true condensation 4th level. He believed that even if he could not beat the opposite party, he would still be able to escape. "How did you come in?" When the green-robed woman saw that someone really came in, her face immediately turned white. Even her whole body began to tremble. "Chi Hua, you do not have to be afraid, he is just a chi-gathering brat, I will go and kill him." Zhu Hongwen comforted the green-robed woman, and directly flew towards Ning Cheng to block his way out. At this time, he did not want to talk nonsense with Ning Cheng. His entire body was overflowing with killing intent. The flying sword in his hands was already wrapped in a formidable killing intent as it flew towards Ning Cheng. The sword light was several feet long. It was far more powerful than when he had fought against the Class 2 monstrous beast. However, in Ning Cheng's view, these sword lights were mostly flashy, just like his previous sword lights. Although they looked good, they could only scare people who did not understand. At the same time as the sword light arrived, the broken spear on Ning Cheng's back had already fallen into his hands, and he immediately shot out with his spear. The broken spear carried a murderous aura and instantly shattered Zhu Hongwen's murderous sword aura. After tearing apart the sword aura's murderous aura, it directly arrived in front of Zhu Hongwen. Spear intent? Zhu Hongwen's soul almost jumped out of his body. He had never thought that a chi-gathering cultivator would be so fearsome. He even comprehended a trace of spear intent. Did he cultivate a spear technique from birth? Otherwise, how could a chi-gathering cultivator comprehend a spear intent? It turned out that this was not a killing intent, but rather a spear intent. Ning Cheng at this time realized that the two killing intents that he had comprehended were actually two different kinds of killing intents. But his hands were not slow at all, and the spear was about to explode on Zhu Hongwen's chest. Zhu Hongwen's chest suddenly caved in, and the flying sword in his hands, as if it had eyes, appeared on the tip of Ning Cheng's spear. Ding! A loud and crisp sound rang out, causing both Ning Cheng and Zhu Hongwen to simultaneously take a few steps back. Chapter 62. Ning Cheng's fighting experience was also very rich. He knew that his cultivation level was not as good as Zhu Hongwen. The longer the fight dragged on, the more disadvantageous it would be for him. The reason why he was able to fight evenly with Zhu Hongwen was because his spiritual sense was much stronger than Zhu Hongwen's. So when Ning Cheng was forced back by Zhu Hongwen's true essence, he simply did not have any delay, and once again rushed forward. At the same time, the spear in his hands transformed into 12 ice-cold spear shadows. These 12 ice-cold spear shadows instantly formed a spear net. The surrounding air seemed to have become very cold. The strong ice-cold spear intent directly cooled down Zhu Hongwen's fighting spirit. Zhu Hongwen's heart trembled. This was a profound grade spear technique. Moreover, it was a profound grade ice spear technique. To be able to display an ice spear technique to such an extent, even if this person did not have an ice spiritual root, he would at least have an ice spiritual root. He did not understand whether Ning Cheng was a qi-gathering cultivator or a true condensation cultivator. In the face of Ning Cheng's powerful spear technique, he did not have a defensive magical weapon. Other than dodging, he simply could not block it. Once he dodged, this powerful spear net would definitely follow him like a shadow. Even if he managed to escape, he would be seriously injured. Because in front of this powerful profound ice spear intent, giving up resistance would only make his speed even slower. These thoughts flashed through Zhu Hongwen's mind like lightning. He promptly made a judgment. The flying sword in his hands also transformed into a sword curtain. He could not retreat. If he retreated, then not only would he be defeated, he might even be killed. The sword curtain and the profound ice spear shadows collided. Woo-woo. This woo-woo sound was mixed with some ka-ka sounds. It was as if the surface of the ice was being broken. Puff puff puff. The profound ice spear shadows directly broke through the sword curtain. Several spear shadows passed through the sword curtain and exploded on Zhu Hongwen's body, bringing forth 4 to 5 blood arrows. At the same time, Zhu Hongwen was also sent flying by Ning Cheng's attack. However, he felt a bit relieved, as he finally managed to preserve his life. Ning Cheng was secretly surprised in his heart. This Zhu Hongwen's cultivation was not as good as Miao Lihu from the Mingot city, but on the contrary, he was much stronger than Miao Lihu. The 36 profound ice spear technique was already his most powerful spear technique. If the 36 profound ice spear technique could not kill Zhu Hongwen, then he could only use the 7 Pleiades ice needle. Ning Cheng did not dare to use the 7 Pleiades ice needle. Moreover, there was still a woman at the true condensation 3rd level beside him. The 7 Pleiades ice needle's sneak attack had the best effect, but once it was known, the effect would be reduced by half. After all, his 7 Pleiades ice needle technique was far inferior to the 36 profound ice spear technique. The 7 Pleiades ice needle technique completely relied on his spiritual sense. Although Zhu Hongwen was seriously injured, but the long spear in Ning Cheng's hands did not slow down for even half a moment. The spear light converged, before it turned into a spear line and continued to blast towards Zhu Hongwen's glabella. This spear was filled with killing intent, and even the surrounding bamboos were pushed to the sides by this killing intent. To strike while the iron is hot, Ning Cheng was very clear about this point. Under Ning Cheng's terrifying spear intent, the pale-faced green-robed woman finally reacted. She immediately flew up, and at the same time, a circular shield appeared in her hand. She had never thought that Ning Cheng, a qi-gathering cultivator, would unexpectedly be powerful to this extent. A qi-gathering cultivator wanting to kill a true condensation 4th level cultivator, she had never heard of such a thing before. Ning Cheng's spear light, which was filled with killing intent, collided with the green-robed woman's round shield, and immediately issued an explosive sound. The powerful true essence came back at him. Ning Cheng's spear light, which was filled with a strong killing intent, was completely dispersed by the round shield, and soon disappeared into thin air. Ning Cheng once again retreated a few steps, as he was shocked in his heart. He also did not think that this woman's cultivation was a level lower than Zhu Hongwen's, but her attack was actually a level stronger than Zhu Hongwen's. Ning Cheng's heart sank as he slowly retreated to the edge of the array formation. It would be meaningless for him to continue fighting. If he was blocked by these two people with their full strength, then he really would not be able to escape. This woman seemed to know that Ning Cheng was going to leave and immediately blocked Ning Cheng's path, while at the same time 5 flying swords began to circle around her. Hongwen, help me kill him. The green-robed woman did not have that kind of demure demeanor from before. At this time her eyes were filled with a calm killing intent. Zhu Hongwen did not need this woman's reminder, as he forcibly stopped his injuries and stared at Ning Cheng like a hungry wolf. Looking at the madness in his eyes, Ning Cheng knew that this person was ready to go all out. A person who could control 5 flying swords would definitely have a stronger spiritual sense than him. As such, Ning Qing did not have the thought of continuing to tangle with this person. He raised the spear in his hands and spoke in a sarcastic tone. Xiong Chi Hua, you cheated on your husband. Hiding in this place must be very free and unfettered, right? Ji Xianzhang must have been blind to unexpectedly marry a woman like you. Maybe he had already been killed by you and your adulterer. For the sake of Ji Luofei's face, today I will not haggle with you. There will naturally be someone who will seek revenge on you. When the green-robed woman heard Ning Cheng's words, she suddenly became as dumb as a wooden chicken. Her face once again turned as white as a sheet of paper. Even the 5 flying swords revolving around her also powerlessly fell down. She only had one sentence in her heart. How did this person know who she was? How did he know what she had done? What the hell was going on? No wonder she did not understand. She had been living here for more than a decade. But Ning Cheng seemed to be less than 20 years old. How could he know about her family's matters? What made her even more panicked was that Ning Qing said that he was looking at Ji Luofei's face. It was obvious that the relationship between this person and Ji Luofei was not shallow. While the green-robed woman was still in a state of panic, Ning Cheng had already rushed past her, leaving behind an afterimage, and in an instant he was already far away. In fact, when the green-robed woman was in a daze a moment ago, Ning Cheng had the opportunity to kill her. Ning Cheng was really looking at Ji Luofei's face. As such, he spared Xiong Chi Hua's life. Although Zhu Hongwen was also shocked by Ning Cheng's words, but he was already seriously injured and could only helplessly watch Ning Cheng leave. He did not have even half a shred of ability to stop Ning Cheng. Who is he? How did he know about me? How did he know about Luofei? Is Luofei all right now? Xiong Chi Hua was still muttering to herself, as her complexion turned even paler. Zhu Hongwen stood on the side and softly comforted her. From this person's mouth, Luofei is certainly doing well. Chi Hua, you don't have to worry. Xiong Chi Hua acted as if she did not hear Zhu Hongwen's words. After muttering to herself for a while, she suddenly looked up and said, I want to go out, I want to see Luofei. Saying that, she also muttered to herself, if this person goes to Luofei and talks about me, Zhu Hongwen sighed. He knew Xiong Chi Hua's thoughts. If her daughter thought that her mother had killed her father and was hiding in the Dawn Forest with her adulterer, what would her daughter do? Would she recognize her as her mother? He estimated that she would immediately draw her sword, right? I have a way to make Luofei not believe his words. Zhu Hongwen spoke in a low voice. Xiong Chi Hua's eyes widened as she looked at Zhu Hongwen. As she spoke in a somewhat hurried tone, her pale face even had a trace of rosy color. If you see Luofei, regardless of whether Luofei already knows about this or not, you need to take the first step and tell her, this person took advantage of you, too. After Ning Qing rushed out of the array formation, he found that the two people did not chase after him and also slowed down his pace. In the Dawn Forest, he was not afraid of Xiong Chi Hua and Zhu Hong when teaming up. He believed that the two of them would not dare to chase after him. Once he attracted a high-level demonic beast, he could just walk away and the two of them would still stay here. After leaving this place, Ning Qing quickened his pace. He decided to go to the Yuan continent to see if he could find a true condensation pill to advance to the true condensation realm. When a true condensation realm cultivator was able to freely use their spiritual consciousness like him, Ning Qing estimated that even if he used both of his ice spells together, he would not necessarily be able to defeat them. Xiong Chi Hua was such a true condensation cultivator. Even if the Qi-gathering cultivators were more powerful, but compared to the true condensation cultivators, there were still some essential differences. The true condensation cultivators used true essence, while the Qi-gathering cultivators used true Qi. The difference in strength was obvious. Ning Qing knew that, in fact, the real watershed in cultivation was not the Qi-gathering realm and the true condensation realm, but the essence-building realm. Only after reaching the essence-building realm can one truly cast their foundation and become a cultivator. Ning Qing sped up, while simultaneously practicing his 36 profound ice spear technique. Since he couldn't raise his cultivation in the short term, he had to make up for it. Originally, it would have taken a month's journey, but Ning Qing had only used less than a month to complete it. When Ning Qing looked up and saw the blue sky, as well as the empty wilderness, He let out a long sigh. After more than 2 months of trekking through the forest, this should be the land of the Yuan continent. Although he was still at the edge of the Don Forest, and was at the edge of the Yuan continent, Ning Cheng could feel that the spiritual qi here was much better than the Ping continent. Ning Cheng sorted out his things, and carefully wrapped the broken spear on his back, and prepared to bring out his flying sword to leave the edge of the Don Forest. A gray figure suddenly appeared more than 200 meters away from Ning Cheng, and following this gray figure was a demon wolf that Ning Cheng had killed too many times. After the demon wolf rushed out of the edge of the Don Forest, it seemed to feel that it was very dangerous outside, and gave up on continuing to chase the gray figure, and turned around to enter the Don Forest. This was a young man wearing a gray cultivator's robe. He seemed to know that the demon wolf would not continue to chase him. After rushing out of the Don Forest, he did not continue to run away, but rather walked towards Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng, seeing this, also did not continue to bring out his flying sword. He also wanted to ask for directions. This young man looked to be about the same age as him, and also had the cultivation of Qi gathering 9th level. But he had a beard on his face, which made him look like he had gone through many vicissitudes of life, and seemed to be a bit older. This young man had a white face, and his whole body was covered with a faint bloody aura. There was an obvious scar on his face, which further accentuated his ferociousness. Ning Cheng had been in the Don Forest for nearly a year, so when he came in contact with this kind of faint, bloody, murderous aura, he was able to feel it. He was sure that this young man had stayed in the Don Forest for a long time. Moreover, he was a decisive person. "My name is Tai Shu. I have been living in the Don Forest for a long time. This friend looks somewhat unfamiliar. Could it be that you have just arrived?" This gray-robed young man looked to be extremely friendly, as he came over with a smile on his face and took the initiative to greet him. Chapter 63. My name is Ning Cheng, and I have indeed just arrived here. Ning Cheng cupped his fists, but did not say that he had come from the Ping continent through the Don Forest. Tai Shu said with great interest, "This place is really good. I have been here for half a year, and have gained a lot." However, he didn't dare to go any deeper. Firstly, he was afraid of getting lost. Secondly, he was too weak to go alone. Since Brother Ning is able to come to the Don Forest, presumably you are also one of us. Ning Cheng immediately understood the meaning of Tai Shu's words. He wanted to go deep into the Don Forest to look for opportunities, but his strength was slightly worse, so he wanted to find a person to team up with. When he saw that he was also at the edge of the Don Forest, he came looking for him. Ning Cheng had stayed in the Don Forest for a few months, and was fully aware of the dangers that lurked inside. Although he knew the safe route, but it took him a few months to come out. It was not a good thing to get lost. Moreover, Ning Cheng also knew that there were not many good things in the Don Forest. Compared to the danger, this kind of risk was not worth it. Besides, Ning Cheng did not want to go back to the Don Forest, so he just smiled and said, "I don't know if Brother Tai Shu wants to go there to gain experience, or do you want to look for some high-level spiritual grasses? If you're looking for high-grade spiritual herbs, then I advise Brother Grand Uncle to change locations as soon as possible." I was also somewhat familiar with the Don Forest, although there are some high-level spiritual grasses in it, but they are extremely rare. Even in a year you might not be able to find even one. Brother Tai Shu has been in the vicinity for nearly half a year, so I'm sure you're very clear about this. If Brother Tai Shu really wants to gain experience, then you simply do not need to go deep into the Don Forest. As long as you are at the edge of the forest, you can achieve the same effect. After Tai Shu heard Ning Cheng's words, he patted his head and said, Why didn't I think of that? I have already stayed here for half a year, and the highest level of spirit grass is only level 2. There is really no need to continue staying here. As for training, I've long been tired of these brainless low-level demonic beasts. Although I need a lot of these low-leveled spiritual grasses, but it is not necessary to keep them in the Don Forest. You need a large amount of low-level spirit herbs? Are you an alchemist? Ning Cheng asked in doubt. He now knew that not all people who practiced alchemy were called alchemists. Only those who could refine pills could be called alchemists. Those who could not refine pills and could only refine spirit liquids and pills were called alchemists. Tai Shu's age did not look old, so it was impossible for him to be a pill master, So when Ning Cheng heard him say that he needed a lot of spiritual grasses, he thought that he was an alchemist. Tai Shu sure proudly smiled and said, "Brother Ning, you really look down on me. I am a 100% Tier 1 ordinary pill master. Moreover, I already have the confidence to refine a Tier 2 ordinary pill." Ning Cheng had more than once heard people say that alchemy was very difficult. Moreover, the people who told him about the difficulty of alchemy all had some background. Whether it was Fang Jian or the old woman, their tone was the same. Fang Jijian was a bit better. He only said that alchemy was difficult. Not only did the old woman say that alchemy was difficult, but she also said that alchemy was a small path. Ning Cheng was just thinking of refining the true condensation pill. At this time he met an alchemy master. He immediately wanted to inquire about it. Even if this Tai Shu Shi in front of him was not able to refine the pill that he wanted, the other party was definitely in contact with more people than him. Thinking till here, Ning Cheng hurriedly asked, "Brother Tai Shu, I often hear people talking about pill masters. I do not know what is a pill master. Can Brother Tai Shu please enlighten me?" When Tai Shu Shi heard Ning Cheng's inquiry, he looked at Ning Cheng up and down with some doubts, and then asked, "Is it possible that Brother Ning is not a person from the Yuan continent and came from the Dan Forest?" Ning Cheng secretly thought that Tai Shu Shi was very shrewd and did not hide anything. "That's right, my luck is good. It took me a few months to pass through the Dan Forest." What Ning Cheng said was very simple, but Tai Shu Shi's heart was in turmoil. He was almost killed several times at the edge of the Dan Forest. Ning Cheng was able to pass through the Dan Forest. This was simply too amazing. Moreover, Ning Cheng said that he could pass through the Dan Forest as if he was eating and drinking water. In fact, it was definitely not the case. No one could rely on luck to pass through the Dan Forest. From this, it can be seen that Ning Cheng was not a person who liked to boast. This kind of person had a calm mind and would definitely have a bright future. Thinking that he was proud of his ability in alchemy, Tai Shu Shi felt ashamed in his heart, and at the same time he also wanted to make friends with Ning Cheng. So it was like this. Brother Ning originally came from the Ping continent. The spiritual qi in the Ping continent is the most scarce. There are many things that have not been spread out, so it is normal that you do not know about it. After Tai Shu Shi calmed down his shocked mood, he said in detail, "In fact, the Yixing mainland's alchemy masters are divided into ordinary pill masters, true pill masters, profound pill masters, earth pill grandmasters, and heaven pill grandmasters. The pills are also divided into 9 levels. Those who can refine level 1 and level 2 pills are called ordinary pill masters. Those who can refine level 3 and level 4 pills are called true pill masters. And those who can refine level 5 and level 6 pills are called profound pill masters. Only those who can refine level 7 and level 8 pills can be called as earth pill grandmasters. As for those who can refine level 9 and above pills, they are called heaven pill grandmasters." After listening to Tai Shu Shi's words, Ning Cheng came to understand, originally those spiritual liquids and pills were not even worth mentioning. "Brother Tai Shu, how many heaven pill grandmasters are there in the Yixing mainland? Presumably there should not be many, right?" Ning Cheng asked again. Tai Shu Shi gave a wry smile and said, "Actually I am not very clear, but I am sure that even if there are heaven pill grandmasters, there would only be 1 or 2. It is simply not a problem to talk about how many there are." Ning Cheng suddenly thought of the time when he was talking with the old woman and Fang Jian. He caught on to a question and then asked again, "Brother Tai Shu, I heard people say that in the lower class continents' cultivation methods, the qi-gathering cultivators rarely stretch out their spiritual sense. But alchemy requires a strong spiritual sense. How does Brother Tai Shu practice alchemy?" Tai Shu Shi stared at Ning Cheng, and after a good while said, "I finally understand why Brother Ning was able to pass through the Dan Forest. It turns out that Brother Ning and I are the same kind of people." Seeing that Ning Cheng was about to speak, Tai Shu Shi raised his hand to stop Ning Cheng from speaking and continued, "I am sure that Brother Ning does not practice a simple cultivation method. In fact, this is not a secret. In the advanced class continents, even in the intermediate class continents, the cultivators practice a complete cultivation method. That is, from the qi gathering first level, they start to cultivate their spiritual sense. After reaching the qi gathering 4th level, one would be able to fly on a flying sword. In the true condensation realm, the sea of consciousness would be formed. and the spiritual sense would also turn into spiritual consciousness. It is not like what the lower-class continents say that you need to reach the essence-building realm in order to have a sea of consciousness. Saying that, Tai Shu Shi gave a self-deprecating smile and said, I presume that Brother Ning is the same as me, and both of us practice a complete cultivation method, and are able to release our spiritual sense. Ning Cheng had thought that this was one of his secrets, but he did not think that anyone from the Yuan continent would know about it. He asked in confusion, could it be that everyone in the Yuan continent knows about this? Tai Shu Shi shook his head and said, you all know, how is that possible? However, there were also some people who knew that it was just that everyone was lacking in spiritual energy resources. If they wanted to advance, they had no choice but to cultivate low-level cultivation techniques. Don't look at a lower-class continent's true condensation cultivator. If a lower-class continent's true condensation cultivator went to a higher-class continent, maybe they would not be able to defeat a genius qi-gathering cultivator. This is a fact, no one can change it. Sure enough, just as he had guessed, Ning Cheng also felt a bit sad. With his cultivation, being able to reach the Hua continent was already a great achievement. If he wanted to go to an intermediate-class continent, then it would be even more difficult. Since elder brother Ning was able to pass through the Dawn Forest, then you should have the same thoughts as me, always thinking that one day you would be able to go to an intermediate-class continent. Unfortunately, although we understand this truth, but the spiritual qi here is not enough for us to advance to a higher level. If we do not have a profound core cultivator to escort us, then even if we want to go to an intermediate-class continent, it would simply be a delusion. Tai Shu Shi did not know whether he was trying to persuade Ning Cheng or was trying to comfort himself. Ning Cheng quickly put aside these distracting thoughts, who was the one who was sure that he would be able to cultivate to the qi-gathering 9th level. But he had also cultivated to the same level. What would happen in the future? Who could say it clearly? Elder brother Tai Shu, from the way you spoke before, it seems that there are other continents outside of our Yixing mainland? Ning Cheng had long wanted to ask this question. He wanted to know if the Earth was a different continent compared to the Yixing mainland. That's right, the Yixing mainland is just one of the planes in the entire chaotic universe. In the chaotic universe, there are countless planes. Some of them can be reached by relying on one's cultivation level, but there are also some that cannot be reached by relying on one's cultivation level. In other words, if one's cultivation level does not reach an extremely terrifying level, then one would not be able to pass through the planes. When Tai Shu Shi spoke about the countless planes, his tone became dignified. Ning Cheng did not understand these things, but after listening to Tai Shu Shi's words, his heart sank. What Tai Shu Shi meant was that he would never be able to return to Earth. Elder brother Tai Shu, how do you know about this? Is it possible that all the cultivators in the Yuan continent know about this truth? Ning Cheng knew that Tai Shu Shi did not have any reason to lie to him, but in his heart he still missed him, and hoped that he could be an exception. Tai Shu Shi shook his head and said, I and elder brother Ning felt like old friends at first sight, and felt that elder brother Ning was a person who could be made friends with. In fact, the cultivation method that I practice is from my Tai Shu clan. My Tai Shu clan appeared thousands of years ago in the Yixing mainland's Le continent. Later, in order to find a way back, our ancestor left the Le continent. After our ancestor left, my Tai Shu clan also gradually declined. Until today, I am the only one who ended up in the Yuan continent, this low-leveled continent. Tai Shu Shi's tone was desolate. It was obvious that he was unwilling in his heart. Ning Cheng was extremely excited in his heart. Tai Shu Shi's ancestor was able to cross planes. He was absolutely a powerhouse among powerhouses. In the future, would he also be able to achieve this? Ning Cheng did not even care about Tai Shu Shi's desolation, and somewhat eagerly asked, Elder brother Tai Shu, your ancestor must have been an amazing person. Was the cultivation method of your Tai Shu clan also passed down from that ancestor? Originally, Ning Cheng wanted to ask if there was any information about the ancestor of the Tai Shu clan that could cross planes, but thinking that the friendship between the two of them was not very deep, asking this question seemed a bit abrupt. He decided to slowly lead the way to this question. Listening to Ning Cheng talk about his ancestor, Tai Shu Shi's face immediately showed a very proud look. My ancestor's name is Tai Shu Yi, according to my Tai Shu clan's inheritance, because of an accident, my ancestor crossed plains and landed in the Yixing mainland. At that time his cultivation level was only a billionth of his original cultivation level. But even so, the most powerful person in the entire Yixing mainland, in front of my ancestor, was just like an ant. Chapter 64. When Ning Cheng heard this, his heart suddenly surged. With only a billionth of his cultivation, he could still treat the Yixing mainland's most powerful expert as an ant. What kind of concept was this? No wonder he could cross plains. Cultivating to the extreme would have such a terrifying ability? At this moment, Ning Cheng's heart was burning like a fire. He wanted to crazily cultivate. Even if he could not reach the terrifying cultivation level of Tai Shu Yi, he wanted to tear open the plains and return to Earth. Tai Shu sure seemed to feel that his tone was a bit excited. He eased his tone and said, "My Tai Shu clan has records that plains and plains are different. Different plains have different cultivation methods, and even the levels are not the same. But different paths lead to the same goal. Any cultivation is a process of transforming the heaven and earth spiritual qi into one's own cultivation. There is no exception. The cultivation structure of each plane is based on the precipitation of countless years. It is not without reason. The cultivation method that I cultivate was temporarily modified by my ancestors. After experiencing the vicissitudes of my Tai Shu clan for thousands of years, now in my hands, there is only a cultivation method for the essence-building realm, alas." When he said that there was only a cultivation method for the essence-building realm, the desolation in Tai Shu Shi's eyes was obvious. Ning Cheng felt that although Tai Shu Shi looked like a pretty boy, but his words were direct, which he really appreciated. Then he laughed and said, "Brother Tai Shu does not have to worry. As long as your cultivation level is high in the future, you can go back to the Lu continent. Maybe you can find your Tai Shu clan's cultivation method. I and Brother Tai Shu feel like old friends. Why don't we find a place to drink and chat? Wouldn't that be better?" What Brother Ning said is very good. I also have this intention. As for the cultivation method, I am not worried. Compared to the many people in the lower-class continents, I am already ahead of them. Tai Shu Shi was obviously not a bashful person. His mood quickly recovered, and then changed the topic and said, "We are going to Shijie City. Shijie City is the third largest city in the Yuan continent. In Shijie City there is a famous academy, Blue Flame 4-Star Academy. This is also a place to enjoy life. Every once in a while, I will go to Shijie City to live for a while." Speaking till here, Tai Shu Shi's expression seemed to be somewhat bashful. Ning Cheng did not pay attention to Tai Shu Shi's expression. He was thinking about the Blue Flame 4-Star Academy. When he and an E were on the beach, they met a seriously injured person. That person wanted to kill him and an E, but he was killed instead. He remembered that that person was from the Blue Flame 4-Star Academy, and an E. Seeing that Ning Cheng's attention was not very focused, Tai Shu Shi reminded Ning Cheng and said, "From here to the Shijia City, if we take a beast carriage it would take us a few months, but if we fly on our flying swords, it would only take us 2 days. Brother Ning can use spiritual sense. You can also fly. However, in this place, when a qi-gathering cultivator flies on a flying sword, they absolutely cannot be ostentatious. We'll try our best to walk in a secluded place. Very few people will notice us." Tai Shu Shi, Cheng said, "Tai Shi, I want to say a realm, and Cheng, Shu Shi should go to the continent." Ning Cheng felt that Tai Shu Shi should be a trustworthy person, and simply said, "Brother Tai Shu, I came to the Yuan continent because I wanted to go to the Hua continent. I also know that my cultivation level is too low, so I want to advance to the true condensation realm, and then go to the Hua continent." Tai Shu Shi did not know that Ning Cheng wanted to obtain a true condensation pill. When he heard Ning Cheng's words, he hesitated for a moment and said, "I do not want to attack Brother Ning, but even if Brother Ning has the opportunity and is able to advance to the true condensation realm in the Yuan continent, you will not be able to reach the Hua continent. Going from the Yuan continent to the Hua continent is completely different from going from the Ping continent to the Yuan continent. I do not know how Brother Ning passed through the Dawn Forest. Either you have good luck, or you have a good map. But from the Yuan continent to the Hua continent, there is an endless desert. Ordinary essence-building cultivators do not dare to cross this kind of terrible desert. not to mention a true condensation cultivator. In the middle of the desert, there are countless terrible monstrous sand beasts. There are also countless desert whirlpools. What is even more terrible is that you can encounter lightning at any time. If you are not careful, you will be completely swallowed up by the sand. Generally, to go to the Hua continent, there is a profound congealing realm cultivator, and then fly there using a large airship. Moreover, even in the Yuan continent, advancing to the true condensation realm is extremely difficult, although the resources in the Yuan continent are richer than the Ping continent, but this richness is also very limited. A true condensation pill is not easy to get. Ning Cheng simply said, I will first advance to the true condensation realm. If I really cannot advance to the true condensation realm, then I do not intend to go to the Hua continent. Once I advance to the true condensation realm, I have some assurance that I can go to the Hua continent. I have a simple map of the Hua continent. It would be much better than blindly rushing along. Do you have a map of the Thunder Fall Desert? Tai Shu asked in a pleasantly surprised voice. Is it called the Thunder Fall Desert? I indeed have a simple map, Ning Cheng said as he took out the map and gave it to Tai Shu. After Tai Shu looked at the map, he was pleasantly surprised and said, Yes, this is indeed a simple map of the Thunder Fall Desert. I did not think that you would have a simple map of the Dawn Forest. No wonder you were able to pass through the Dawn Forest. After returning the map to Ning Cheng, Tai Shu hesitated for a moment and said, That's good, I also want to go to the Hua continent. After all, only by going to the Hua continent would I have the opportunity to go to the intermediate class Jia continent. Why don't we travel together? I have almost collected all the materials for the true condensation pill. Now I only lack the main spiritual fruit, the golden cicada fruit, and a supplementary spiritual grass, the blue tea grass. The golden cicada fruit is a bit troublesome, but the blue tea grass is easy to obtain. Ning Cheng interrupted Tai Shu and said, I have the golden cicada fruit. When Tai Shu heard Ning Cheng's words, he suddenly paused. He even forgot what he was going to say, as he looked at Ning Cheng with some disbelief and said, Do you really have the golden cicada fruit? Ning Cheng took out a wooden box and handed it to Tai Shu and said, Take a look. Tai Shu excitedly grabbed the wooden box. When he discovered that there really was a golden cicada fruit in it, he immediately laughed and said, It really takes a lot of effort, Brother Ning. If we can find the blue tea grass, then we can refine the true condensation pill. As for the true condensation pill, I have a way to find the blue tea grass, and I also have a way to ask someone to help me refine the blue tea grass. This golden cicada fruit, you can put it away first. When it is time to refine the pill, you can take it out again. Ning Cheng did not take the wooden box that Tai Shu handed to him, and just gave a slight smile and said, Brother Tai Shu, you said it before, we feel like old friends at first sight. This golden cicada fruit might as well be on your body. After you finish refining the pill, you can give it to me. Ning Cheng was confident that he would not make a mistake. Tai Shu was definitely not a person who would go missing just for a golden cicada fruit. If he was wrong, then he could only blame himself for his poor eyesight. Tai Shu did not continue to decline. After he put away the wooden box, he said to Ning Cheng, Brother Ning, you are my friend. You can rest assured I, Tai Shu, will not let you down. The more the two people chatted, the more they became happy. They really regretted not meeting each other earlier. Ning Cheng was a rookie in cultivation. All of his theories were pieced together, and he even deduced them from the cultivation method jade strips. There were many small details and mistakes in the middle, but under the mutual discussion with Tai Shu he benefited a lot. Some of the simple truths that he did not understand suddenly became clear to him. Tai Shu was even more shocked in his heart at Ning Cheng's genius brain. He and Ning Cheng were the complete opposite. Ning Cheng did not understand some of the basic things. But he did not understand some of the cultivation methods. Originally he wanted to use them as a topic to discuss with Ning Cheng, but he did not think that Ning Cheng would find the right direction for him. After this chat, Tai Shu was even more certain that Ning Cheng would not be ordinary in the future. Brother Tai Shu, your ancestor Tai Shu left behind some information about the plane. Can you let me have a look? Ning Cheng felt that since he and Tai Shu had chatted to this extent, it should not be a problem for him to have a look at some information about the plane. Tai Shu sure showed an apologetic expression and said, "Brother Ning, my Tai Shu clan is only passed down by word of mouth. There is no actual book left behind. If there was, I would have definitely taken it out for Brother Ning to have a look. Because it is passed down by word of mouth, the cultivation methods of my Tai Shu clan are getting less and less." Ning Cheng showed a disappointed expression. He wanted to know what was the plane, and then see if he could return to Earth in the future. Seeing Ning Cheng somewhat disappointed, Tai Shu sure hesitated and said, "Brother Ning, I know a little about the plane. According to the inheritance of my Tai Shu clan, a plane can have countless planets and innumerable continents. Planes and planes are different. I heard that if you cultivate to the extreme in the Yixing mainland, you can ascend to another plane. But even if you ascend to another plane, you will still be in the same plane. For ordinary cultivators, even if their cultivation is high, it would be very difficult to go from one plane to another plane. My ancestor Tai Shu Yi, because of a catastrophe, came to the Yixing mainland from another plane. Moreover, when he came to the Yixing mainland, his corporeal body had completely disappeared, only a trace of his life essence remained. His corporeal body was remodeled in the Yixing mainland. That is not any different. Ning Cheng muttered to himself. He did not know if the Earth and the Yixing mainland were the same plane. According to Tai Shu Shi, this plane was similar to the galaxy that the Earth spoke of. If the Earth and the Yixing mainland were in the same galaxy, then in the future when his cultivation reached a certain level, maybe he could really go back. If it was not the same plane, then he estimated that he would never have the opportunity to go back. Tai Shu Shi said, "Different planes have a completely different concept of time. In our plane thousands of years have passed, but in another plane only a few days have passed. Of course, this is the information passed down by my Tai Shu clan. After so many years, how much of it is true, and how much is false, I do not know." Ning Cheng suddenly hoped that the Yixing mainland and the Earth were not the same plane. If they were not the same plane, then no matter how long he cultivated in the Yixing mainland, it would only be a very short time on Earth. The two of them talked while flying, coupled with the time to rest on the road. 2 days passed by in a blink of an eye. "Brother Ning, we are almost close to the Shijia city. We do not need to continue flying. In another 2 to 4 hours, we can reach a relay station. At the relay station we can take a beast carriage to the Shijia city." Tai Shu Shi landed on the side of a mountain road, and simultaneously put away his flying sword. Chapter 65. Looking at the Shijia city from the outside, Ning Cheng felt that this city was not even as good as the Nanyuan city. Whether it was the layout or anything else, it seemed rather low-key. After entering the Shijia city, he saw the extremely spacious main street, which finally made Ning Cheng feel that this place was a little bit better than the Nanyuan city. "Brother Tai Shu, the streets of this Shijia city are very wide, but it doesn't look very prosperous." Ning Cheng could feel that there were not many shops on either side of the spacious street. Since there were no shops on either side, then the people who came and went would certainly be in a hurry and would not stop for even a moment. Tai Shu Shi chuckled. "Brother Ning, the people who know me call me Stone, you should also call me Stone." The reason why there were only a few people in this place was because the Blue Flame 4-Star Academy had stipulated that no shops could be set up on this road. Because at the end of this road is the Blue Flame 4-Star Academy. If there are any shops, then it would affect the students of the Blue Flame 4-Star Academy. "So domineering?" Ning Cheng subconsciously replied, "Just because the academy had to pass through this road, did they control the main street?" Tai Shu Shi hurriedly pulled Ning Cheng and said, "Elder brother Ning, you have to pay attention to your words. Once the Blue Flame 4-Star Academy comes to know about it, we will definitely have our tongues cut off." Ning Cheng nodded, but in his heart he despised the Blue Flame 4-Star Academy. He also smiled at Tai Shu Shi and said, "You don't have to call me brother Ning, just call me by my name." "All right." Tai Shu Shi also did not hesitate, and pulled Ning Cheng along with him as they walked down the wide main street, and after walking for a few meters, they once again entered another street. This street was much more lively and bustling. There were shops and people everywhere. Tai Shu Shi brought Ning Cheng to the entrance of a red building and stopped. "Shi Tu, what are you doing here?" Ning Cheng looked at the 3 words Yi Shui Courtyard, written on the red building in front of him, and asked. On both sides of the red chamber, there was a pair of couplets. Ask the gentleman how many worries, leave Yi Shui to your heart. This was obviously a romantic place. The meaning of the couplet was that as long as you have worries, you can enter the Yi Shui courtyard and stay there. This was a place to relieve one's worries and emotions. This kind of place, in the Zhongli city, there were many of them, and some of the adventurers loved it the most. Wait a minute, Tai Shu came here. What did he want to do? This was the place where the adventurers went. Tai Shu was a cultivator. Moreover, he was also an ordinary pill master. It was rare for him to be afraid of not being able to find a woman, so why would he go to the Yi Shui courtyard? Seeing the puzzled look in Ning Cheng's eyes, Tai Shu knew that Ning Cheng had already guessed his thoughts, and said in a rare bashful voice, Ning Cheng, you guessed it right. I have a woman I like here. Every time I come back, I will look for her. Ning Cheng was very puzzled as he looked at Tai Shu and asked, since you like people so much, then why don't you just redeem her and settle her in a place? Why would you put the woman you like here? Ransom him? Tai Shu stared at Ning Cheng in surprise. I am a Tier 1 ordinary pill master, and can only occasionally come here to see her. Where would I find the spirit stones to redeem Lian Yi? This time it was Ning Cheng's turn to be shocked. He had never heard of a brothel that required spirit stones. Wasn't it just gold coins? Tai Shu looked at the puzzled look on Ning Cheng's face and explained. The Yi Shui courtyard was founded by a very mysterious boss. The women here are the best quality female cultivators. Moreover, there are even a few of them who cultivate in the charm technique and are extremely lovable. But the price is also very high. These women who cultivate in the charm technique have to pay 10 spirit stones to receive guests. Do you have to spend 10 spirit stones to see Lian Yi every time? Ning Cheng asked in disbelief. 10 spirit stones was not a small amount in a lower-class continent. Tai Shu shook his head and said in a desolate manner, Lian Yi does not cultivate in the charm technique. The price is also relatively cheap, 2 spirit stones per time. But my level of alchemy is very low, so it is not easy for me to see her. If you want to redeem her, then you can't just use spirit stones, you need to get the consent of the Yi Shui courtyard. Let's go in together. I still have some spirit stones on me. I will help you pay for it. Ning Cheng was speechless and patted Tai Shu's shoulder and said, You go in, I will find a place to rest. I am carrying this spear on my back. It would not be convenient for me to go in. He had been running around in the Dawn Forest for several months, although he was a cultivator at the Qi Gathering 9th level, but he still felt tired. Tai Shu was just about to speak when he saw a woman in a pink robe rushing out of the Yi Shui courtyard. This woman was also beautiful and pleasing to the eye. As soon as she came out, she immediately pulled Tai Shu and anxiously said, Stone, how come you only came back now? Quickly go and see Lian. Her eyes are almost blind from crying. Hearing that Lian Yi's eyes were almost blind from crying, Tai Shu immediately nervously asked, What's wrong with her? What's wrong? After asking, he did not wait for the woman in the pink robe to answer, as he hurriedly rushed in. In his haste he seemed to have remembered Ning Cheng, and hurriedly said to the woman in the pink robe, This is my friend young Master Ning Cheng, please help me look after him, I will settle the bill. Seeing that Tai Shu had already entered the Yi Shui courtyard, Ning Cheng had no choice but to put an end to the idea of leaving. Young Master Cheng, is this your first time coming to the Yi Shui courtyard? You come with me, I believe that you will definitely be satisfied. The beautiful woman said to Ning Cheng in a sweet voice, while simultaneously reaching out to pull Ning Cheng's sleeves. Ning Cheng frowned. It was not that he did not like women, but he felt that this woman in the pink robe was speaking to him in such a sweet voice, which made him feel a little uncomfortable in his heart. The woman in front of him also had a beautiful and pleasant appearance. Even if she used that kind of urgent voice, it would still give people a better impression than this sweet voice. Can you take me to a clean room and give me a pot of tea? I want to rest for a while. Ning Cheng decided to wait here for a while. He understood the urgency of Tai Shu's mood. When he saw Tian Mu Wan heartlessly leave, his mood was also extremely anxious. When the person he liked suddenly had an accident, he would definitely feel extremely anxious. My name is Lu Hanyu. Young Master Cheng can just call me Hanyu. The woman in the pink robe said with a bit of shyness, as she led Ning Qing to a room on the second floor. What made Ning Qing surprised was that this room also had a spiritual gathering array. The spiritual qi inside was a lot denser than the outside. It seems that the 2 spirit stones were not wasted. The light in the room was dim, and a large bed was particularly conspicuous. On the side of the bed, there was a white jade tea table. Ning Qing had just looked around the room when Lu Hanyu came forward and stuck close to Ning Qing and whispered, "Young Master Qing, this is my room. I was supposed to rest today, but when I saw young Master Qing, my heart started to palpitate." Even if Ning Qing knew that Lu Hanyu was just playing around, Ning Qing was stimulated by the hazy color of the room and was also somewhat moved. Lu Hanyu was also somewhat excited in her heart. She had stayed in the Yishui courtyard for more than a year. What kind of people had she not seen? But Ning Qing was such a clean man. It was the first time that she had met. The mysterious yellow origin had cleansed his body and was incomparably clean and fresh. It was also because of this that Lu Hanyu could see that Ning Qing was still a virgin. Such a man, even if she had to throw herself at him, she would be willing to accompany him. Lu Hanyu was extremely proficient in the way of teasing. She could feel Ning Qing's heart beating, and unexpectedly had a kind of enthusiasm in her heart. Her hands seemed to unconsciously move across Ning Qing's chest. A kind of extreme softness hit him. Ning Qing's hand only lifted halfway, and then once again put it down. The broken spear that was left behind by the spear in the room made his enthusiasm instantly dissipate. He did not come here to have fun. Even if he wanted to find a woman, he could not throw his first time in this place. He pushed Lu Hanyu away and went to the jade table and sat down. "You sit down first, I want to ask you something." Lu Hanyu saw Ning Qing push her away and felt a little disappointed in her heart. No wonder this man was still a virgin until today. This kind of rationality was really amazing. She had used her charm technique a moment ago. She had been cultivating her charm technique for a long time, but this was the first time she had used it, but it did not have any effect, which made her extremely frustrated. She had used her charm technique this time, without any other purpose. She just wanted to give herself to the man in front of her. Lu Hanyu was also a person who was very good at controlling her emotions and quickly put away her feelings. She picked up a teapot from under the tea table and poured a cup of tea for Ning Qing, and then sat down and softly said, "What does young Master Qing want? Please feel free to speak." Compared to her previous sweet words, Ning Qing felt that Lu Hanyu's words were a lot more natural. He picked up the teacup and took a sip. As it entered his mouth, it was definitely a kind of spiritual tea. "Thank you." Ning Qing knew that Lu Hanyu was extremely kind towards him, and after thanking her he asked, "Is Lianyi the lover of stone? What happened to her to make stone so panicky?" Chapter 66. 3 days later, there will be 10 elder sisters from the Yishui courtyard that will be put up for auction. Elder sister Lianyi has already reached the upper age limit and is also on the list. Apart from the 3 elder sister Mei, big sister Lianyi was the most beautiful person in the Yishui courtyard. In the Shijia city, there were already many young masters waiting for her, not to mention that elder sister Lianyi was fond of Shi too. Even if elder sister Lianyi did not have anyone in her heart, if she was bought by someone, then her future fate would be extremely miserable. Alas, it's a pity that I can only go and see her, but I can't help her. Lu Hanyu seemed to remember her own situation, sighed, and her expression became extremely gloomy. In another 3 years, she would be the one to be put up for sale. In any case, Lian Yi still had Tai Shu Shi who remembered her. Even if Tai Shu Shi could not help Lian Yi, it would still give Lian Yi some comfort in her heart. However, she had no one to rely on. She subconsciously looked up at Ning Qing. She was very clear in her heart that Ning Qing did not have any feelings for her. But even if that was the case, she still took out the little bit of spiritual tea that she had treasured for many years for Ning Qing to drink. She also had a young girl's dream and longed for a beautiful future. Ning Qing was speechless. In this place, women were treated as goods for sale. It was just too normal. Not to mention that he couldn't help, even if he could, he couldn't help countless women like her. The atmosphere suddenly became awkward. Lu Hanyu also did not continue to tease Ning Qing, but Ning Qing was thinking about how to help Tai Shushi. With Lian Yi's fame, since she was listed, she would need at least 300 spirit stones. The total number of spirit stones he had on him was no more than 300. Once someone bid, his spirit stones would not be enough. Other than spirit stones, the only valuable thing on him was a level 4 spiritual grass. He did not know if he could sell a rank 4 spiritual grass in the Shijia city for a good price. Moreover, he was really reluctant to part with it. Ning Qing shook his head. He would support as much as he could. 300 spirit stones was a large sum of wealth for others, but for him, it was just a drop in the bucket. It would not be of much use. At this time, Lu Hanyu's room was suddenly knocked on. Lu Hanyu hurriedly went forward to open the door. Tai Shushi anxiously stood in the doorway. Ning Qing, quickly accompany me to the Shijia city's auction. The next auction will be held tomorrow. I want to go and auction a few things. Tai Shushi, on seeing Ning Qing, eagerly said. Ning Qing already understood the meaning of Tai Shushi's words. He stood up and smiled at Lu Hanyu and said, "Thank you for the tea, it was very good." "Thank you." Lu Hanyu bowed and said her thanks, but did not see Ning Qing and Tai Shushi off. At this time Tai Shushi had already calmed down from his anxiousness. He knew that the most urgent thing was how to get the spirit stones. When he saw that Ning Qing did not put anything on the tea table and followed him out of the Yishui courtyard, he couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Ning Qing should not have come to this kind of place. He did not know that spirit stones were required to drink tea. These teas were not things from the Yishui courtyard. They were things that belonged to the female cultivators. Generally, after the guests came to use them, they would take the initiative to pay with spirit stones. As for the amount of spirit stones paid, it depended on the wealth of the guest. Actually, you should have left behind a spirit stone. It wasn't easy for them either. The 2 spirit stones that we used to enter the courtyard were taken away by the Yishui courtyard. There is no point for them. After walking far away from the Yishui courtyard, Tai Shushi sighed and said, Ning Qing certainly knew the meaning of Tai Shushi's words. These female cultivators in the Yishui courtyard depended on the private tips from the guests. If the guests were stingy, then the female cultivators could only work for free. Ning Qing was silent. It was not that he was reluctant to part with a spirit stone. It was not that he did not know the rules. Even if he had not come to this kind of place, he had seen it a lot. The reason why he did not give the spirit stones was because he could feel that Lu Hanyu was still somewhat pretentious towards him. But after entering the room, Lu Hanyu's attitude towards him should be that she was aroused. Moreover, the spiritual tea that he drank was definitely a top-grade spiritual tea. He did not know where Lu Hanyu got this spiritual tea, but he was sure that Lu Hanyu did not have much of this spiritual tea. For her to take out this spiritual tea, it should not be to earn a few spirit stones. Even if she wanted to earn spirit stones, Lu Hanyu would not choose a person like him. Ning Qing was a person who valued friendship. Between him and Lu Hanyu, it was absolutely impossible. But he also did not want to use a spirit stone to make Lu Hanyu sad about her identity. When he left, Lu Hanyu's words of thanks had already explained everything. Prostitutes have their own pride and self-esteem. To use a spirit stone to shatter this kind of self-esteem, it would be a cruel thing to do. If possible, Ning Qing would rather help Lu Hanyu in another place. Tai Shushi brought Ning Qing to a circular building and stopped in front of it. On top of this building was written, Shijia Auction House. What do you want to sell? Ning Qing looked at Tai Shushi, who seemed to have made a big decision, and asked. Tai Shushi decisively said, I must redeem Lian Yi. I have a rank 3 spiritual grass. An ordinary rank 3 spiritual grass would be very difficult, right? Perhaps you would not even be able to sell it. Ning Qing reminded Tai Shushi. Tai Shushi bit his lips. It was obvious that he knew an ordinary rank 3 spiritual grass would not be able to sell for many spirit stones. If he wanted to redeem Lian Yi, he would have to think of another way. If it really doesn't work, then I still have the Tai Shu clan's cultivation method. Although this cultivation method is missing a lot, but at least it can be regarded as a true grade cultivation method, right? Tai Shushi's eyes showed a struggle. Although his Tai Shu clan's cultivation method was missing a lot, but it was still an inheritance. The Tai Shu clan's cultivation method was not recorded in the jade strips and was passed down by word of mouth, but he actually wanted to sell it. This was simply outrageous. Fortunately, he still remembered that the golden cicada fruit was Ning Cheng's, otherwise he might have even taken out the golden cicada fruit. Stone, in the Shijia city, what is the price of a rank 4 spiritual grass? Are there any profound grade cultivation methods for sale? Ning Cheng patted Tai Shu's shoulder and asked. In fact, Ning Cheng did not think that there was anything wrong with Tai Shu. If it was his lover in the Yishui courtyard, even if he had to break his bones, he would find a way to get her out. He would absolutely not act like Tai Shu and even think about it for a long time. Tai Shu looked at Ning Cheng in surprise and said, "The price of a rank 4 spiritual grass is very outrageous. If it is an extremely precious rank 4 spiritual grass, then it can be sold for tens of thousands of spirit stones as normal. As for a profound grade cultivation method, you are just joking. If the Yuan continent can easily obtain a profound grade cultivation method, then the entire Yuan continent would turn upside down. Once a profound grade cultivation method appears, it would almost cause all the forces to come and compete for it. Do you think you can buy it?" When Ning Cheng heard Tai Shu's words, he immediately broke out in a cold sweat. Fang Jinni casually took out a pile of profound grade cultivation methods. He thought that although the profound grade cultivation methods were not rotten cabbages, but they were just some ordinary things. He did not think that they would be so precious. Originally, he was going to take out a profound grade cultivation method for the auction, but fortunately he asked Tai Shu if he really took it out recklessly, then he would just be courting death. Giving up on the idea of taking out a profound grade cultivation method, Ning Cheng chuckled and said, "Stone, you do not have to worry. Although there are few good things in the depths of the Dawn Forest, but it is not that there are none. When I passed through the Dawn Forest, my luck was not bad. I managed to obtain a rank 4 spiritual grass. I will take this rank 4 spiritual grass to auction." A rank 4 spiritual grass was a very precious thing, but compared to a profound grade cultivation method, it could only be said that he was lucky. When Ning Cheng took out a rank 4 spiritual grass, there was not much pressure in his heart. "Do you have a rank 4 spiritual grass?" Tai Shu immediately became excited. A common rank 4 spiritual grass can be exchanged for hundreds or even thousands of spirit stones. It would definitely be enough to redeem Lian, but Tai Shu quickly came to his senses. This rank 4 spiritual grass was not his. "But this is your spiritual grass." Ning Cheng patted Tai Shu's shoulder and said, "You also said that we hit it off at first sight, so you do not need to be so bashful." Tai Shu sighed and said, "Brother Ning, you have said this sentence twice. You have helped me twice. But I only said it once, and only said it once." "Ha!" Ning Cheng laughed and said, "Don't be so wishy-washy. It is better to call Ning Cheng more practical. What, Brother Ning? No, from now on you are this stone's big brother. No matter what happens, this stone will always be at the forefront." Tai Shu firmly said. Seeing Ning Cheng looking at him with a puzzled expression, Tai Shu repeated his words, "Big brother, I am serious. You give me the spiritual grass, I will first evaluate it, and then we can go in together to discuss." Ning Cheng suddenly remembered a line that he often heard on Earth. He took out a jade box and handed it to Tai Shu and said with a smile, "I have not been a big brother for many years." Tai Shu could not understand the meaning of Ning Cheng's words. Could it be that Big Brother Ning had a sad past? "I mean, if you call me like that, it will give me a lot of pressure. I will have to take care of you in the future. I think about it. This does not seem worthwhile," Ning Cheng said as he put the jade box into Tai Shu's hands. Tai Shu knew that Ning Cheng was joking, but still said in a very serious manner, "Big brother, rest assured, I will absolutely not drag you down." Ning Cheng said, "I was just joking. Don't be so serious." Tai Shu opened the jade box in his hands, and then his hands trembled, almost dropping the jade box on the ground. This is the rainbow light grass? The rank 4 spiritual grass that you said is actually the rainbow light grass?" "That's right, I only have this one." Ning Cheng nodded and said he knew that the rainbow light grass was very precious, but he really did not have any other rank 4 spiritual grass. If he did, he would definitely not take out the rainbow light grass. As for the soul wood, that thing was even more precious than the rainbow light grass. Ning Cheng would not take it out, and would not dare to take it out. Tai Shu Shi quickly handed the jade box back to Ning Cheng. Big brother, this is too precious. This kind of thing should be auctioned in an intermediate class continent, or even auctioned in an advanced class continent. Even if it is not good, you should still bring it to the Hua continent. Even if you do not sell it, this kind of thing in your hands is also a big guarantee. This is a good thing that can restore the core lake. If you take it out and sell it, it is really. Chapter 67. Ning Cheng once again patted Tai Shu Shi's shoulder and said, "Stone, you really should go to my hometown to have a look. You should learn how those profiteers operate their capital. What you keep in your own hands is the lowest value. Things of high value must be given away in order to reflect the real value, and then take back the reflected value and drive your own interests. You said that this rainbow light grass, when we put it on our bodies, it is just a stalk of grass, and also takes up a small space, but once we take it out it is different. It can immediately become the thing that we need the most. This is the operation of capital. Well, to put it simply, even the people who sell the fruits know that they will sell the good fruits and leave the bad ones for themselves to eat. Are they stupid? No, this is to maximize the benefits." Ning Cheng talked for a long time. Suddenly he thought that he still had the even more precious soul wood in his storage bag. His face immediately turned red and could no longer continue. Tai Shu Shi seemed to have forgotten about the rainbow light grass in his hands, and subconsciously asked, "Do the people of the Ping continent do business?" "My hometown is not the Ping continent. This is a long story, let's talk about it later." Ning Cheng did not want to discuss this issue. But Tai Shu Shi's attention once again returned to the rainbow light grass in his hands. His face immediately showed an excited expression. "Big brother, this rainbow light grass can definitely be sold for more than 10,000 spirit stones. Unfortunately, this is the Yuan continent. If it was an intermediate class continent, it can even be sold for 10,000 medium-grade spirit stones." How many low-grade spirit stones can a medium-grade spirit stone be exchanged for? Ning Cheng knew that spirit stones were divided into high-grade, medium-grade, and low-grade, but he was not clear about the exchange rate. Tai Shu Shi was much more proficient in this compared to Ning Cheng, and immediately replied, "A high-grade spirit stone can be exchanged for 10 medium-grade spirit stones. A medium-grade spirit stone can be exchanged for 10 low-grade spirit stones. But there is also a kind of spirit stone called best quality spirit stone. This thing is very precious. In theory, a best quality spirit stone can be exchanged for 100 high-grade spirit stones. In fact, no one has ever used best quality spirit stones to exchange for high-grade spirit stones, not to mention 100. Even if it was 1,000, no one would be willing to exchange it." Ning Cheng had not yet answered, when a lean black-robed man rushed out from the Shijia auction house. He stared at the jade box in Tai Shu Shi's hands and quickly said, "Is this rainbow light grass in your box?" As he spoke, he looked as if he was about to snatch it away. Tai Shu Shi put away the rainbow light grass, and cupped his fists and said, "Yes, we are here to auction the rainbow light grass. I don't know if we will be able to catch up to the auction tomorrow evening?" Yes, I can. Please come in." The black-robed lean old man said with an eager face. His eyes did not even look at Ning Cheng and Tai Shu Shi, but only stared at the package behind Tai Shu Shi. After the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, Ning Cheng and Tai Shu Shi walked out of the Shijia auction house. Tai Shu Shi's eyes were filled with excitement, but also a little bit of worry. They only put forward one condition, and that was that the rainbow light grass must be put up for auction tomorrow. However, the price of the auction house's cut also made Ning Cheng's heart twitch. He had never seen a 50% cut. This was the meaning of half and half. It was simply too black. Regarding Tai Shu Shi's worries, Ning Cheng also understood. He was worried that the rainbow light grass would be auctioned off. In fact, Ning Cheng also had this kind of worry before. In this place, robbing others was just too normal. It was as if they had no choice but to agree despite knowing that the auction would be shady. Without strength, they had no right to speak. But now that the rainbow light grass had been put up for auction, moreover it was half and half, he actually felt relieved in his heart. If this thing was still in their hands and the news leaked out, then it would be a bad thing. But now that the thing was not in their hands, he did not have to worry about it anymore. The Shijia auction house did not look small. Presumably they would not do such a thing for a mere rank 4 spiritual grass. You do not have to worry about it. The rainbow light grass is not in our hands, so it would not be a problem. What you have to think about is how to get the blue tea grass, and then find someone to refine it into a pill. What Ning Cheng was most concerned about was how to get the true condensation pill, and then advance to the true condensation realm. When Tai Shu Shi heard Ning Cheng's words, he felt a lot more relaxed in his heart. The blue tea grass can be obtained at the auction. As long as we participate in the various auctions in the Shijia city, we will definitely be able to get the blue tea grass. Even if we cannot get it, we can finally go to the Pill Master Mulberry to buy it at a high price. Pill Master Mulberry? Ning Cheng repeated the name once more. Tai Shu Shi nodded and said, "That's right, it is the Pill Master Mulberry. This Pill Master Mulberry is one of the only 2 Tier 3 Pill Masters in the Shijia city. His reputation is first class. Even if you take out a precious spiritual grass, as long as you can give him a satisfactory price, he will also help you refine it. Moreover, he will never reveal what kind of pill the customer is refining. The things that he earns are all in the open. He will never take it by force." When Ning Cheng heard that there was such a person, he was very satisfied and said, "This is good. Wait for us to get the blue tea grass, then we will go and look for this Pill Master Mulberry." Tai Shu Shi sighed and said, "This Pill Master Mulberry is good at everything, but his asking price is too black. It is even more black than the Shijia auction house. If you want him to refine a pill, as long as he takes a fancy to the pill, he will charge you 60% of the pill. Moreover, he will also charge you spirit stones." 60% of the pill, and you still have to pay spirit stones? Ning Cheng thought to himself, how is this a black heart? This heart is simply coal. This alchemy profession is really capable. After you redeemed Lienyi, are you going to take her with you to cultivate? In the future, when you go to the Hua continent, will you also take her with you? In a private room of a rest stop in the Shijia city, Ning Cheng cautiously asked Tai Shu Shi. He did not know what Lienyi's cultivation level was. If it was in the Shijia city, then it would be better, but in the future when they go to the Hua continent, if Lienyi's cultivation level was too low, then going to the Hua continent would be another consideration. Tai Shu Shi shook his head and said, "I do not intend to take her to the Hua continent, and I also do not intend to marry her. I am a descendant of the Tai Shu clan. Perhaps one day I will fall on the road to the Lu continent. The path that I want to walk on has already been made clear. I will not be able to live a peaceful life. Bringing her with me is not appropriate." Ning Cheng did not ask about this matter again. The two of them then began to discuss about how to advance to the true condensation realm after obtaining the true condensation pill, and then go to the Hua continent. Afterwards, they exchanged their cultivation experiences with each other. At the beginning, Ning Cheng still had some things that he did not understand, so he had to ask Tai Shu Shi, but later on it was only Tai Shu Shi who asked Ning Cheng. The two people discussed with each other for a whole night. Ning Cheng and Tai Shu Shi not only did not feel tired, but were even more full of energy. They knew that today they would be going to the auction, and the two of them were even more eager to know how many spirit stones the rainbow light grass could be sold for. Ning Cheng had not been to the auction, but he had seen it on TV. When he and Tai Shu Shi entered the Shijia city's auction house, they were immediately shocked by the luxurious atmosphere. The auction house was surrounded by large lights carved from pure white jade. The seats for the auction were arranged in rows of small private rooms, and outside each private room stood a beautiful female cultivator. Ning Cheng's first impression was that the auctions on Earth could not be compared to this kind of auction. Tai Shu Shi said in a low voice, "The Shijia city usually holds small auctions. There are no such private rooms. Moreover, there are not so many female cultivators to serve them. It seems that this time, because of the rainbow light grass, the level of the auction was deliberately increased." Ning Cheng and Tai Shu Shi arrived earlier. When the two of them arrived, the doors of the private rooms were already closed. It was obvious that someone had arrived earlier than them. After half an hour, the main lights on the auction stage suddenly lit up. A middle-aged man walked onto the auction stage. He first cupped his fists towards the people around him, and then said, "Today's auction was originally a small conventional auction. but because of the two precious items that came yesterday, we decided to increase the level of this auction. Fortunately, at the end of this month, there will be a large-scale auction, and there are many distinguished guests from the Shijia city. Without further ado, let us begin today's first auction item. This is an extremely precious rank 2 spiritual grass. It is called the blue tea grass. Presumably all of the friends here would not be unfamiliar with the value of the blue tea grass. This is one of the main spiritual grasses used to refine the true condensation pill. The base price is 30 low-grade spirit stones. Good, let's start the bidding. 50, 60. Once the blue tea grass came out, it immediately attracted a lot of bids. The bids were continuous. In just a few breaths' time, the price had already risen to 100 spirit stones. Tai Shu sure had an excited look on his face as he said to Ning Cheng, I have accumulated 150 spirit stones. Do you still have any spirit stones on you? This blue tea grass we must obtain. Our luck is really too good. I did not think that the first item would be the blue tea grass. Ning Cheng raised his hand to stop Tai Shu sure. Stone, I don't think we can take this blue tea grass. If the rainbow light grass can be sold for a good price, we would rather spend more spirit stones to look for Pill Master Mulberry to buy this thing. But after Tai Shu sure asked, he immediately reacted and then said, Big brother, you are too careful. The blue tea grass is often sold. There will not be any problem. Ning Cheng smiled and said, Stone, since we have a safe choice, why not choose the safe way? The blue tea grass is not valuable, but the true condensation pill is. The people who want the blue tea grass presumably also have the golden cicada fruit. I think it is better to be careful. Not necessarily. There are some people who buy the blue tea grass, just like me, to collect the spiritual grasses needed to refine the true condensation pill. I do not have the golden cicada fruit. Tai Shu sure said disapprovingly. Ning Cheng shook his head and said, The price of the blue tea grass has already risen to 200 spirit stones. Without the golden cicada fruit, spending 200 spirit stones to buy the blue tea grass, I do not believe it. Others may not be afraid, but we do not have this kind of ability. Tai Shu sure then noticed that the price of the blue tea grass had already risen to 210 spirit stones. This price was rarely seen. He nodded and said, Big brother, perhaps what you said is true. With such a high price, it really is not safe to buy it. Finally, the blue tea grass was sold for 220 low-grade spirit stones, and was bought by one of the private booths. When the host cultivator on the auction stage saw that the first item was sold for such a high price, he spoke in an even louder tone. Congratulations to the friend who bought the blue tea grass. Now we are going to start the auction with a very good thing. Even my Shijia auction house rarely have this kind of quality. This is a best quality spear type artifact, the 7-star golden spear. Tai Shu sure saw the beautiful golden spear in the hands of the host cultivator, and quickly said, Big brother, I see that you are also using a spear type artifact. Moreover, it seems to be of an ordinary grade. It would be better to buy this spear. Chapter 68. The base price of this spear is 800 low-grade spirit stones. Start the bidding now. The voice of the middle-aged man on the auction stage had just fallen when someone bid 1,000 spirit stones. With the first bid, the competition immediately became fierce. The price quickly rushed past 1,500 spirit stones and quickly approached 2,000 spirit stones. Tai Shu sure looked at Ning Cheng with some embarrassment and said, I did not think that the price of this best quality artifact would be so high. If I had known earlier, I would have learned how to refine artifacts. Ning Cheng did not mind it and smiled. Not to mention that I do not have spirit stones. Even if I had, I would not have come to snatch this spear. After several rounds of bidding, this 7-star golden spear was bought by someone for 3,600 spirit stones. After the middle-aged man who hosted the auction sold the spear, he held up a cowhide scroll and said in a clear voice, This is a map. Do not think that this is a treasure map. This is not a treasure map, but rather a map of a dangerous place. Many of my friends want to go to the Hua continent, but the dangers of the Thunderfall Desert are simply not something that ordinary people can pass through. But this map just happens to be a map of the Thunderfall Desert, but it has not been verified, so the authenticity of this map cannot be determined. When Ning Cheng heard this, he was happy in his heart. He must buy this map. This map had not been verified, so the price would certainly not be high, and the people who wanted it would not be too many. But it did not affect him. He already had a map. The main purpose of him buying this map was to compare the two maps. After all, the map that he had obtained was just a simple map. The base price of this map is 1,000 spirit stones. Each bid must not be less than 100 spirit stones. The bidding starts. The words of the middle-aged man on the auction stage immediately made Ning Cheng lose his thoughts. A map that had not been verified unexpectedly cost 1,000 spirit stones. If it was verified, then wouldn't it cost tens of thousands of spirit stones? What made Ning Cheng even more puzzled was that someone immediately bid 1,100 spirit stones. In a blink of an eye, the price of this map had risen to 1,500 spirit stones. From this, it can be seen that there were many people who wanted to go to the Hua continent. Finally, this map was bought by someone for 3,100 spirit stones. For the rest of the auction, Ning Cheng completely did not have any ideas. He had more than 300 spirit stones on him. In addition to the first auction item, the blue tea grass, he simply could not afford anything else. Although spirit stones were extremely difficult to obtain in the low-level continents, Ning Cheng found that not everyone was the same as him when it came to using spirit stones. After half a day had passed, Ning Cheng finally heard the middle-aged man hosting the auction speak. The next item to be auctioned is a spiritual grass. I believe that a lot of people have come here for this spiritual grass. That's right, this is the level 4 spirit herb, rainbow light grass. Even if there was a private room, Ning Cheng could still feel that after the rainbow light grass came out, it caused some commotion. That middle-aged man was not wrong. Many people indeed came for the rainbow light grass. Everyone knows the uses of the rainbow light grass. It is one of the few things that can restore the core lake. Its value is immeasurable. Now, the starting price is 5,000 low-grade spirit stones, and each increment must be no less than 500 spirit stones. Let the bidding begin. Ning Cheng found that the person presiding over the auction would always lower the price, and then more people would participate in the bidding, and the final price would always be several times higher than the quoted price. Once the rainbow light grass came out, Ning Cheng and Tai Shu Shi were extremely nervous as they stared at it. Even if no one increased the price, they could still get 2,500 spirit stones. Relatively speaking, it was more or less enough. 6,000 spirit stones. 7,000 spirit stones. The price quickly rose to 12,000 spirit stones. It could be seen that there were a lot of people who wanted the rainbow light grass, and it also highlighted the preciousness of the rainbow light grass. When the price reached 19,000 spirit stones, a cold snort suddenly came out from one of the private rooms. This old man bids 20,000 spirit stones. Who would dare to increase the price? The people who were bidding here were all bidding through the array formation inside the private room, but for someone to directly bid with such an arrogant voice, this was the first time. It seemed that a lot of people knew who this old man was. After this cold snort and these words came out, unexpectedly no one dared to continue bidding. When Ning Cheng heard this, his heart was filled with hatred. He knew from the atmosphere of the bidding that the final price of this rainbow light grass would definitely be more than 20,000 spirit stones. This bastard who claimed to be this old man wanted to use 20,000 spirit stones to buy his rainbow light grass. This was simply robbing his spirit stones. Although his heart was filled with hatred, Ning Cheng was unable to speak. Even the auction house had acquiesced to this kind of existence. If he, a cultivator at the Qi Gathering 9th level, stood up to oppose it, then he would really be courting death. This old thing is really shameless. Tai Shu Shi also said with hatred in his heart. Ning Cheng helplessly said, even if you want to be shameless, you also need to have the strength. If you don't have the strength, then even if you want to be shameless it would be useless. Fortunately, after we obtain these 10,000 spirit stones, it should be enough for us to use. The rainbow light grass was indeed bought by the old man for 20,000 spirit stones. After the auction, Ning Cheng did not have any interest to continue staying here. Tai Shu Shi and Ning Cheng had the same thoughts. After the rainbow light grass was sold, he stood up and said, "Big brother, we can go now." At this time, the middle-aged man who was hosting the auction said in a loud voice, The next item we are going to auction is a low-grade airship-type artifact. Wait. When Ning Cheng heard that it was an airship-type artifact, he was immediately tempted. With his current cultivation level, flying on a flying sword was too tiring. Moreover, once he encountered an emergency situation, he would have to face the enemy with an exhausted body, which would be the most dangerous. But with an airship it was different. An airship also required spiritual consciousness. Under normal circumstances, airship-type artifacts would have the support of spirit stones, so the consumption of spiritual consciousness would be much smaller. The base price of the airship is 600 spirit stones. Each increment must not be less than 100 spirit stones. Ning Cheng asked in amazement, a best quality long spear-type artifact is only 800 low-grade spirit stones. How come this airship is so expensive? Tai Shushi knew that Ning Cheng came from the Ping continent, so he did not know much about the situation in the Yuan continent, and immediately explained, among all the artifacts, the price of a flight-type artifact is the highest. The price of a low-grade airship-type artifact is almost equivalent to a high-grade attack-type artifact. The final transaction price of this airship would not be much lower than that long spear. Sure enough, the price of the airship had already reached 1,300 spirit stones, and there was no sign of it stopping. Let's go. Ning Cheng did not want to continue to buy a flight-type artifact. We will now go and find Pill Master Mulberry. After the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, Ning Cheng took the 10,000 spirit stones and walked out of the auction house with Tai Shushi. The auction had given him a lot of stimulation. Obviously there were a lot of things that he wanted, but he did not have the spirit stones to buy them. The price of the rainbow light grass could obviously be sold at a higher price, but he had no choice but to sell it at a lower price. In the final analysis, it was because his strength was too low. He wanted to first find Pill Master Mulberry to refine a true condensation pill and prepare to advance to the true condensation realm. As long as he advanced to the true condensation realm, he would immediately go to the Hua continent. Tai Shushi and Ning Cheng had the same idea, but he did not intend to immediately go to the Hua continent. He wanted to redeem Lianyi, and then settle Lianyi down, and then go to the Hua continent. Pill Master Mulberry has an eccentric temperament. Try not to bargain with him. What he hates the most is bargaining. Tai Shushi was afraid that Ning Cheng did not know about Pill Master Mulberry, and repeatedly warned Ning Cheng. The place where Pill Master Mulberry lived looked very ordinary. It was just a simple courtyard on the outside. When Ning Cheng arrived here, he was aware that there was a defensive array formation outside the courtyard. Tai Shushi stood outside the door and clapped his hands 3 times in the air. Then he winked at Ning Cheng and said in a low voice, "We will wait here. As long as Pill Master Mulberry has the time, he will call us in." Sure enough, after a few breaths, Ning Cheng saw the defensive array formation in front of him open, and then a voice came over, "Come in." Ning Cheng and Tai Shushi pushed open the door to the courtyard. Inside the courtyard was a large spiritual grass garden. Inside the garden were planted rank 1 and rank 2 spiritual grasses. There were even a few rank 3 spiritual grasses. A boy was examining the spiritual grasses one by one. When Ning Cheng and Tai Shushi came in, the boy acted as if he did not see them and was minding his own business. In the middle of this large spiritual grass garden, there was a winding path, which led directly to a narrow door. Ning Cheng and the other person walked through this winding path, and after entering the narrow door, the first thing they saw was a large pill furnace. Below the pill furnace, there was a flame burning, and the pill furnace was emitting a gulu-gulu sound. Behind this pill furnace, a man without a beard was sitting on a praying mat, and was holding a spiritual grass in his hand as he pondered. Ning Cheng could not see the cultivation level of this person, but he guessed that this person was at least a cultivator in the essence-building realm. Junior Tai Shushi, Ning Cheng greets Senior Mulberry. "This time I came to disturb Senior, to ask Senior to help me refine a pill." Tai Shushi respectfully bowed and cupped his fists as he spoke. Ning Cheng also slightly bowed and cupped his fists as well. He was thinking in his heart that the rainbow light grass had appeared in the Shijie auction house, and Pill Master Mulberry was so fond of spiritual grasses, it was reasonable to say that he would go and have a look, but why was there no movement at all? Pill Master Mulberry seemed as if he did not see the two people, and also did not hear the words of Tai Shu Shi, and was still staring at the spiritual grass in his hand with a frown. Ning Cheng secretly despised him in his heart. This guy was just a Tier 3 pill master. He had seen that old woman in the Nanyuan city. Her level of alchemy was definitely higher than this guy called Mulberry, but she did not put on any airs at all. It seems that this person was only half a bucket of water. Unfortunately, he still had to look for this half a bucket of water for help. Ning Cheng and Tai Shu Shi waited for the time it took for an incense stick to burn, but Pill Master Mulberry still did not speak. Just when Ning Cheng was about to speak again, Pill Master Mulberry suddenly asked, "What kind of pill do you want to refine?" "This junior wants to refine a true condensation pill." Tai Shu Shi hurriedly replied. "True condensation pill?" Pill Master Mulberry finally put down the spiritual grass in his hand and turned his head to look at Ning Cheng and Tai Shu Shi. "Yes, true condensation pill." Tai Shu Shi affirmed it. Chapter 69. But take out all the spiritual grasses needed to refine the true condensation pill. I will take 60% of the pill, plus 1,000 low-grade spirit stones. Pill Master Mulberry casually said he had just come out from his closed-door cultivation and had made a breakthrough in his research of a pill recipe, so he was in a very good mood. Otherwise, even if Ning Cheng and Tai Shu Shi wanted to come in, it would not be this fast. Ning Cheng thought to himself that he was really black-hearted. Not only did he take 60% of the pill, he also wanted to add 1,000 low-grade spirit stones. Not only that, but the tone of his voice was also dispensable. "If you don't want to refine it, are all pill masters this awesome? Senior Mulberry, I have a piece of news here. If it is useful to Senior, I want 50% of the pill. If it is not useful to Senior, then we will follow Senior's words." Ning Cheng had not finished speaking. When Pill Master Mulberry's face sank, he had never seen anyone who dared to bargain with him for alchemy. What kind of news dared to ask him for 10% of the pill? This kid simply did not know what was good for him. Just when Mulberry was about to tell Ning Cheng and Tai Shu Shi to get lost, Ning Cheng promptly said, "Today there will be a rank 4 rainbow light grass in the Shijie auction house. I do not know if this spiritual grass would be useful to Senior Mulberry. I think this kind of good thing would definitely be taken out as the finale of the auction." Ning Cheng bet that Pill Master Mulberry did not know about the rainbow light grass. If Pill Master Mulberry knew about it, he would definitely not give up the pursuit of the rainbow light grass. This was the conclusion that Ning Cheng came to when he saw him concentrating on studying a rank 3 spiritual grass. Tai Shu Shi was incomparably anxious in his heart. He did not think that Ning Cheng would really dare to bargain with him. But he did not have the time to apologize to Pill Master Mulberry when he saw Pill Master Mulberry stand up in shock. At this moment Tai Shu Shi knew that Ning Cheng's words had an effect, and secretly admired him in his heart. Ning Cheng not only dared to bargain, but also dared to say that the rainbow light grass might be taken out as the finale of the auction. In fact, he was very clear that the rainbow light grass had already been sold. Tai Shu Shi certainly understood Ning Cheng's meaning, because there was still half a day left before the auction. After Pill Master Mulberry finished refining the Pill Master Mulberry, he could still rush to the auction site to pursue the rainbow light grass. Seeing Pill Master Mulberry's expression, Ning Cheng was happy in his heart. This guy really did not know about the rainbow light grass. No wonder he was hiding in his house. "Take out the spiritual grasses for refining the true condensation pill," Pill Master Mulberry directly said to Tai Shu Shi. Tai Shu Shi did not know that Pill Master Mulberry had already agreed to Ning Cheng's request, and immediately took out a pile of spiritual grasses from the cloth bag that he was carrying on his back, and piled them up on the ground. Pill Master Mulberry waved his hand, and the pile of spiritual grasses instantly disappeared. At the same time he took out a jade bottle and threw it to Tai Shu Shi and said, "My success rate in refining the true condensation pills is 6 pills per set. Here are 3 true condensation pills. You can go now." Not to mention 1,000 spirit stones, he didn't even want a single spirit stone. He probably wanted to get to the auction site as soon as possible to see if it was too late. "Thank you, Alchemist Mulberry." Ning Cheng hurriedly pulled Tai Shushi, who was still pleasantly surprised, thanked the Pill Master Mulberry, and hurriedly walked out of the narrow door. Big brother, you really are something. After walking far away from Pill Master Mulberry's residence, Tai Shushi gave a thumbs up and praised him. Let's not talk about this anymore. Let's hurry back. This time, Pill Master Mulberry realized that he had kicked an iron plate. He will definitely bear a grudge against us. Next time, don't even think about looking for him to refine pills. This is just a business. Ning Cheng was also extremely happy in his heart. After racking his brains, he finally managed to get his hands on the true condensation pill. With the true condensation pill and the spirit stones, he thought that advancing to the true condensation realm would not be much of a problem. As long as he advanced to the true condensation realm, then when he went to the Hua continent, he would have a few more guarantees. Aya! The two people were not happy for long, when Tai Shushi suddenly called out and stopped. What's the matter? Ning Cheng looked at Tai Shushi and asked in a puzzled manner. Tai Shushi patted his head and said, I was just about to say that we were still missing a stalk of blue tea grass, but you interrupted me and I forgot about it. Once we are discovered by Mulberry, then we would be miserable. Ning Cheng also frowned but then said, there shouldn't be any problems, those spiritual grasses were inspected by Mulberry. Since he put them away, then it means that he has passed the inspection. Besides, if he wants to snatch the rainbow light grass, then at least for a few days he would not be able to take care of the spiritual grasses that we gave him. Even if he saw it, a stalk of blue tea grass would not cost many spirit stones. This is just a small matter. When Tai Shushi heard Ning Cheng's words, he also felt relieved in his heart. It seemed that this matter was really not that big. But I think that after you redeem Lian Yi, we should immediately leave the Shijia city. Ning Cheng cautiously said, even if you don't say it, I understand. Tai Shushi nodded. The two people hurriedly found a place to stay. Tai Shushi took out a jade bottle and poured out a true condensation pill and handed the other two to Ning Cheng and said, Big brother, I only need one, these are for you. I will leave the spirit stones with you. The day after tomorrow we will go to the Yi Shui courtyard together. These 2 days I will go into seclusion to sort out my recent gains, and then prepare to advance to the true condensation realm. Ning Cheng also did not refuse, and took the jade bottle and said, all right, I will also prepare to sort out my gains. I will see you in 2 days. The resources that he needed for his cultivation were simply too terrifying. A single true condensation pill was not necessarily enough, now that he had 2 of them. 2 days later, Ning Cheng and Tai Shushi walked into the Yi Shui courtyard. A few days ago when Tai Shushi left the Yi Shui courtyard with an anxious expression, but today Tai Shushi was brimming with confidence, and his demeanor was incomparably relaxed. At this time there was a huge banner hanging at the entrance of the Yi Shui courtyard. On the banner was written, the Yi Shui courtyard's 11 popular sisters are up for auction today. If you want to understand the specific situation of the 11 sisters of the Yi Shui courtyard, please pay 10 spirit stones to enter the Yi Shui courtyard. It was a good calculation. Before selling people, they also wanted to earn an admission fee. This Yi Shui courtyard really was a place where one would not eat even half a bit of a loss, and would even pluck the feathers from the geese. Hey, how come there are 11 people? Didn't they say that there were 10 people up for auction? Why is there one more? Tai Shushi asked in a strange voice. Ning Cheng's mind was already not in the Yi Shui courtyard. He just wanted to end things here as soon as possible and then leave. If not for Tai Shushi, he would not have accompanied Tai Shushi to wade through these muddy waters. Don't think too much about it, hurry up and go in. When we are done with our business, we will leave. Ning Cheng reminded Tai Shushi, and then took out a spirit stone and handed it to a pretty sister next to him. This elder sister, I would like to ask if Lu Hanyu is here? If elder sister is not busy, then I would like to ask this elder sister to help me call Lu Hanyu. Tai Shushi could not believe it as he looked at Ning Cheng and said, Big brother, you are not in love with that Hanyu, are you? Are you the same as me, and want to redeem Hanyu? Ning Cheng did not answer. That pretty sister quickly put away the spirit stone that Ning Cheng had given her, and then carefully looked around and whispered, Are you the guest of little sister Hanyu? You do not know, But I do not know what happened to Hanyu these past few days. She unexpectedly did not want to receive any guests. As a result, she was listed for sale. So that's how it is. How did it become 11 people? Tai Shu sure suddenly said. Then he remembered what Ning Qing had just asked, and hurriedly asked, Big brother, do you want to redeem Hanyu? Ning Qing was silent for a moment and said, There are some things that you will not understand. I have a fiancée, and do not have any feelings for her. But if I can help her once for 1,000 spirit stones, then I would not mind these spirit stones. I understand. Contrary to Ning Cheng's expectations, after Tai Shu sure said these 3 words, he also became silent. He did not have a fiancée, but he also could not marry Lian. When the 2 people walked into the Yi Shui courtyard's main hall, Ning Cheng finally understood what it meant to be a second-generation ancestor. This was also an auction house, but compared to the previous Shijia auction house, this was simply a vegetable market. In the innermost part of this huge room, there was a temporarily built red square platform. In front of the square platform, there were 7 or 8 young masters sitting in the first row. Seeing these people, Ning Cheng first thought of Tsang Le City's Xian Yuan Kue. These guys and Xian Yuan Kue were the same kind of people. Their cultivation level was not high nor low, but with the expression of, I am the best in the world, they talked and talked loudly. They were discussing which pretty sister was worth it, and how much the price should be. In addition to these people in the first row, there were more than a dozen people sitting in the second row. Looking at their clothes and expressions, the people sitting in the second row were not worse than the people sitting in the first row. But they all had their eyes closed, and were not like the young masters sitting in the first row who were talking loudly. In addition to this, Ning Cheng also noticed that there were a few men wearing a cultivator's hat that covered their faces, and they were surrounded by a strange aura. Even if Ning Cheng had not come into contact with the cultivation method of a female furnace, he knew that these people were here to buy a female furnace. As for some of the older people, they were silently sitting in the corner. He did not know whether they were here to buy a pretty sister, or just to watch the excitement. After Ning Cheng and Tai Shushir found a place to sit down, they no longer spoke. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, a pretty woman wearing only an undergarment walked towards the red platform with mantis steps. The snow-white skin outside the undergarment matched with the 2 groups of trembling breasts. It was just like a living advertisement. Thank you all for coming to our Yi Shui courtyard to support us. Zhu Jiao is sure that today's listing of the 11 pretty sisters will not let everyone down. Her tone was soft and charming. She had not even finished speaking when the several young men sitting in the front row laughed and said, We like you, big and white. This elder brother likes Zhu Jiao is not simple. After the listing is over, Zhu Jiao will accompany you. He did not know whether what this woman said was true or false, but at least after she finished speaking, the atmosphere of the scene became even more enthusiastic. Our first listing is Ying Ying. Ying Ying has a 3-line support spiritual root. She has a delicate and beautiful appearance, and is very understanding. She is most suitable as a furnace. This woman called Zhu Jiao spoke bluntly about the matter of being a furnace, and did not have even half a shred of taboo, and the guests who came did not think that there was anything wrong with it. As this Zhu Jiao finished speaking, the red crystal curtain behind her automatically opened, and a woman with long hair wearing a light green robe appeared in front of everyone. This woman looked very beautiful, but there was a trace of indifference in her eyes, making her look more like a puppet that had lost all hope. Chapter 70. Ying Ying's listed price is 1,000 low-grade spirit stones, although this price is far from reflecting the value of Ying Ying. But today, all of you are friends of my Yi Shui courtyard, and in order to find a better home for Ying Ying, we decided to list it at the lowest price. Zhu Jiao's face had a charming expression. She completely did not know what shamelessness was. 1,300 spirit stones. I have already taken a fancy to Miss Ying Ying. Everyone please do not fight with me. A pale fat man sitting in the first row stood up and shouted. This person reminded Ning Cheng of the arrogant old man from the Shijia auction house, but the pale fat man in front of him seemed to only have the cultivation of qi gathering 4th level. He did not know where his confidence came from. 2,000 spirit stones. Ning Cheng's guess was not wrong. the pale fat man had just finished speaking, when someone immediately quoted a price. Moreover, the price was increased by 700 spirit stones. The one who quoted the price was a black-robed man sitting in the corner. The pale fat man obviously did not think that someone would not give him face, and immediately became angry. "Who are you? Did you just arrive at the Shijia city, and already want to deliberately make me lose face?" The words of the fat man contained an important message. That is, you just arrived at the Shijia city, and did not even go to inquire about who I am, and even dared to confront me? Papa, two crisp sounds rang out. The black-robed man flew up and slapped the fat man twice in the face. The pale fat man once again fell back, while spitting out 2 teeth. "You are nothing. If you dare to talk again, I, your father, will split you." When the black-robed man fell back to his seat, he disdainfully cursed. The pale fat man seemed to be frightened by the fierceness of the black-robed man, and did not dare to continue to speak. Zhu Jiao did not seem to have seen it, and still stood on the stage with a flirtatious look in her eyes, seemingly hoping that someone would quote a higher price. He did not know if Ying was only worth 2,000 spirit stones, or if other people did not dare to compete with the black-robed man. No one continued to increase the price, and finally Ying was sent to the side of the black-robed man. Ningqing noticed that the black-robed man was definitely at true condensation 2nd level, but he was concealing his cultivation level, and appeared to be only at the qi gathering 8th level. In Ningqing's view, this black-robed man's true condensation 2nd level cultivation was not enough to make the Yi Shui courtyard afraid. Since this person dared to be so arrogant in this place, it seems that he should have some strength behind him that would make the Yi Shui courtyard feel fear. The red crystal curtain on the stage was pulled up once again. Zhu Jiao's entire body trembled as she giggled. Congratulations to this friend for getting Ying just now. Congratulations to Ying for finding a better home. Ningqing sneered in his heart. This black-robed man obviously wanted to buy Ying to use as a cultivation furnace. As such, Ying should have entered a pit of fire. This Zhu Jiao was so shameless, yet she still dared to say such things. The second one to appear is Nuo Wei. Nuo Wei has a dual support spiritual root and is even more gentle and beautiful. If not to help Nuo Wei find a better home, my Yi Shui courtyard would not be willing to let her go. In order to make Nuo Wei even happier in the future, we will only list the price at 1,500 spirit stones. After Zhu Jiao pretended to say something, the crystal curtain behind her automatically opened. Appearing in front of the crowd was a beautiful woman wearing a blue robe. This woman did not look tall, but it gave people a feeling that she was slender. It could be assumed that her temperament was quite good. But what made Ningqing puzzled was that Nuo Wei's face had a very natural smile on it. It was completely different from Ying's previous expression. It seemed that she really wanted to be listed for sale. 2,000 spirit stones. A young man sitting in the 2nd row suddenly made an offer. Ningqing at this time discovered that Nuo Wei was looking at this young man with a very gentle look in her eyes. He immediately knew that this young man was the same as Tai Shushi, and was specifically here to take away Nuo Wei. "I bid 2,200 spirit stones." The black-robed man who had previously bid for Ying once again made an offer. When the young man heard this offer, his complexion immediately changed, but he immediately said in a deep voice, 2,300 spirit stones. "I bid 2,500 spirit stones." This black-robed man who had already bought a female cultivator seemed to be very rich, and did not hesitate to increase the price. Ningqing had already seen it. This black-robed man did not seem to want a furnace, but rather wanted a female cultivator to help him cultivate a certain cultivation method, so it seems that he did not want a single female cultivator. Generally, most of the women who had spiritual roots and cultivated were either taken away by the academies or some small sects, so this person came to the Yi Shui courtyard to buy a female cultivator. It really was a shortcut. Ningqing secretly sighed in his heart. If this was really the case, then if these female cultivators were bought by this person, then their fate would be even more miserable than being used as a furnace. "I bid 2,600 spirit stones. Senior, Nuo Wei is a woman that I admire. I ask the senior to be lenient." The young man's tone was very polite. Compared to the white fat man from before, he was much better. At least he did not use the fact that he was the XXX of the Shijia city to threaten others. The black-robed man glanced at the young man and suddenly said, "Who do you think you are?" 3,000 spirit stones, elder brother Sun, you have already bought one, leave this one for me. From another corner, a gray-robed man suddenly stood up. He first bid, and then politely cupped his fists towards the black-robed man who had already bought Ying and was still competing for Nuo Wei. The black-robed man who had already bought Ying coldly snorted and said, "I recently need a few female cultivators. I will not buy them again next time. If you want to compete with me, Sun Shun, then you will be my mortal enemy." Finished speaking, the black-robed man called Sun Shun once again called out a price, 3,100 spirit stones. The gray-robed man who bid 3,000 spirit stones seemed to be afraid of this Sun Shun, frowned, and finally did not continue to increase the price. The face of the youth sitting in the second row who had first bid suddenly changed. He only had at most 2,800 spirit stones on him. Originally he thought that it would be enough, but he did not expect that Nuo Wei's price would quickly rise to 3,100 spirit stones. He looked at the white fat man who still had blood on his face, and finally did not continue to speak. Seeing that the man who wanted to redeem her did not increase the price, Nuo Wei finally felt that something was wrong. Her face instantly turned pale. The time that they had stayed in this kind of place was not just 1 or 2 days. As such, they had long heard about some strange cultivators who used female cultivators for their cultivation. Now that this black-robed man called Sun Shun had already bought Ying, and now he wanted to buy her again, it was obvious that he wanted to use female cultivators for his cultivation. Once she fell into the hands of such a person, then she could only pray that she would die a quick death. "Meng Lang, you increase the price, quickly increase the price, I beg you to increase the price." Nuo Wei finally could not sit still, as she almost cried out on the high platform. Her voice was sad, and made people endlessly worried. Unfortunately, her Meng Lang not only did not increase the price, but instead lowered his head. Zhu Jiao suddenly frowned, and gave a cold snort. Nuo Wei, on hearing this cold snort, subconsciously shuddered, and no longer dared to ask her Meng Lang to increase the price. Tai Shu Shi, who was sitting next to Ning Cheng, sighed and said, "They are really too pitiful. If I had not met you, then Lian Yi would also be as pitiful as them." Ning Cheng had not seen this kind of thing many times, as such he could not calmly watch these female cultivators fall into the pit of fire like the rest of the people. Even if these female cultivators were prostitutes, he still could not remain calm. At this point of time he was clenching his fists so hard that water almost came out, but unfortunately he could not help them in any way. He could only watch the black-robed man called Sun Shun use 3,100 spirit stones, as he once again bought Nuo Wei. Then, just like what Sun Shun said, the 3rd and 5th women were bought by him. The 4th, 6th and 7th women were bought by the rest of the people. These 3 beautiful sisters of the Yishui courtyard did not know whether it was because Sun Shun did not like them, or because their qualifications did not meet his requirements, but he did not bid for them. But as long as he bid for them, they would all be bought by him. The young masters in the 2 rows in front of him had bid many times, but they were not successful even once. With the experience of the white-robed fatty, no one dared to continue to threaten these unidentified black-robed men, or these cultivators' hats that covered their faces. The 8th one to be listed is our Yishui courtyard's red card, Miss Lian Yi. Miss Lian Yi has a main spiritual root. Moreover, her appearance is also one of the most outstanding among the people listed. Miss Lian Yi's listed price is 2,000 low-grade spirit stones. The guests who like Miss Lian Yi, please make your move. The earlier you make your move, the earlier you make your move. After the crystal curtain behind Zhu Jiao was pulled open, a tall woman with a pale face appeared. This woman had long hair, and was even more beautiful than the 7 people in front of her. Not only that, this woman's cultivation level was the highest so far. She was already at Qi Gathering 5th level. Ning Cheng secretly praised Tai Shu Shi's vision. This female cultivator was really good. "I bid 2,500 low-grade spirit stones." The black-robed man Sun Shun was the first to bid. Tai Shu Shi immediately increased the price, 3,000 spirit stones. As if she heard Tai Shu's voice, Liani looked up in surprise, and then she saw Tai Shu. Her eyes immediately revealed a fiery light, even her pale face turned a little rosy. 3,500 spirit stones, this woman called Liani's mine, who dares to increase the price? Sun Shun's tone became cold, while his eyes swept towards Tai Shu with a killing intent. This kind of killing intent was almost tangible. Tai Shu immediately felt it. At the same time, he also understood that Sun Shun was definitely not at the Qi gathering 8th level, but rather a cultivator at the true condensation realm. After he felt that Sun Shun was a cultivator in the true condensation realm, Tai Shu's face immediately turned ugly. He even paused for a moment. He did not know if he should continue to increase the price. If he continued to raise the price, Fatty Bai's mistake was not far away. Not only would he not be able to take away Lian Yi, but he would also implicate Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng looked at Tai Shu's face and expression, and knew that Tai Shu was shocked by Sun Shun's cultivation level and killing intent. He quoted without hesitation, 4,000 spirit stones. Good, you have guts. You actually dare to snatch a woman from me, Sun Shun? As Sun Shun spoke, his entire body once again surged with a murderous aura. At the same time, his figure once again rushed out, as he directly slapped Ning Cheng's face. Ning Cheng was a cultivator at Qi gathering 9th level. In his eyes, he was just like an ant. Who the hell do you think you are? How dare you grumble in front of me? Ning Cheng was well aware of the importance of imposing manner. As such, he used Sun Shun's words to ridicule him, before he similarly flew up and then punched out with his fist. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.